I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Time to rise and grind.
Are you kidding me? Holy on smoke!
And let's get this banter going.
It's bacon!
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Does anybody else feel like a fried egg?
And it begins now.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell,
I think I just broke my chair. He did what?
Has anybody ever told you you have a
Serious impulse control problem!
There is but one cause for me to follow. Almighty the bum!
And here we go.
Oh, yeah!
Morning, folks, and welcome to the Best of Snowman in the Morning. All this week, you will hear the best bits, the best conversations, the best stuff over the course of the 6 years that this show has been on air. And I'll be back next Monday with a brand new edition. So, for this week, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Every once in a while I'm busy going about my day, something comes across my screen, something comes across my desk that friends will send me. One friend in particular, and I've sent some things to him and told him to go for it. Well, the friend is Cole Johnson, and he sent me something with the message, throwing the lob on the fast break. Send it in like Shaq, my man. Now, anyone who knows me knows I love Shaquille O'Neal. Loved him as a player. He's an absolute goofball. Love that big man. Especially love the way he played center. I read the caption, which says, the Warriors dynasty was fraudulent. It was all because of KD. Well, that got my spider senses going right then and there. And then I listened to the clip. This is courtesy, and I'm going to let you all hear a few seconds of it before I provide a response. This is courtesy of Undisputed on FS1, and the fellow who is making the comment is a friend of mine, Rob Parker, part of The Odd Couple, one of the shows I actually like. Rob Parker said this.
Read my lips. The Warriors dynasty, whatever you want to call it, has been officially eliminated once Kevin Durant left. It's not happening. I do not see the Warriors winning anything anytime soon. And it has nothing to do. You can talk about adding all the players, about the lottery picks and Wiggins. It's about Steph and Clay. It's about those guys. Whatever. Yeah, well, whatever you want to call it. That whole dynasty that everybody talks about is totally fraudulent.
Oh, God.
The only reason they had
a dynasty?
No, the only reason they had a dynasty is because KD joined the team. Steph, Clay, and Draymond Green, they won one championship. That was without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. That's the one that they won. Iguodala was the MVP, not Steph, not Clay. Hold on.
Shouldn't have been.
And then they played Cleveland, and were the first team. That was the 73-9 team.
73 games.
That's right,
Wow.
regular
Pretty
season.
good.
But they choked down the NBA Finals. The first team in the history of the NBA to choke down a 3-1 lead. They lost 2 of the 3 games at home.
Yeah.
They lost 3 games in a row. They hadn't lost 3 games in a row all year. It's a fraudulent dynasty. Unless Kevin Durant's coming back, they're not winning again. Stop the romanticizing of Steph and Clay. Let me give you Steph's. You ready? Listen.
Well, to say the least, Rob Parker's cool, okay? I had him on my show. But when I heard that, and y'all know I'm a Golden State Warrior fan, that pissed me off. And it leads to this.
It's time to go.
Let's go in, shall we? The Warriors dynasty was fraudulent, according to Rob Parker. The Warriors dynasty was because of KD, according to Rob Parker. Mr. Parker, I guess you didn't realize that Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green were drafted by the Warriors in the process of their rebuild from 2009 to 2012. I guess you don't realize that Steph and Klay and Draymond are their core players. I guess you don't realize that it wasn't the Warriors who made the call for KD to come to them. It was KD who made the call to the Warriors. I guess you don't realize that the Golden State Warriors have something LeBron's never had in 17 years. It's called a winning culture. I guess you don't realize that Stephen Curry, the current Warrior, be injured as he may be, was a unanimous most valuable player and the only one in history to this juncture. I guess you don't realize that Stephen Klay knocked down 402 threes. I guess you don't realize that the Cleveland Cavaliers, to borrow from Stephen A. Smith, were granted an enormous stimulus package in 2016. I guess you don't realize that the NBA has had it in for the Golden State Warriors. Okay, I'm going a little far. I guess you don't realize that the Cleveland Cavaliers were granted a stimulus package all the way from heaven in 2016. Everybody wants to say, oh, the Cavaliers erased a 3-1 deficit. They had help. Don't you realize that? They had help. They had help from the NBA. They had help from LeBron James, who engineered the whole damn thing by dry snitching on Draymond Green for kicking him in the you-know-where when it was an accidental kick in the first place. And second, LeBron tried to walk over him. If you want to follow the letter to the law, then the finals appearance in 2016 should not have happened, because if you follow the letter of the law, according to the NBA, Draymond Green should have been suspended in the Western Conference Finals, not the NBA World Championship Series. And I laid it out as a conspiracy theory that because of that stimulus package, that's why Cleveland was able to get back in the series, because if Draymond Green plays in Game 5 of that World Championship Series, it's a walk-off. It's a 5-game conquest. It's a 5-game wipeout. Because every game in that series because every game up to that juncture, the first 4 games were decided by double digits. The first 2 were wipeouts in Oakland. Cleveland wiped out the Warriors by 30 points in Game 3. And then the Warriors won by 11 in Game 4, 108-97. Matter of fact, the first 6 games were decided by double digits in that 2016 World Championship Series. I guess you don't realize, Mr. Parker, that in order for the Warriors to get back to the World Championship Series, they had to erase a 3-1 deficit of their own. And that was against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who had Kevin Durant at the time. If there was any kind of dynasty, it should have been formed in Oklahoma City. And to be more to the point, it should have been formed in Seattle. I have said it on this program, and I will continue to say it for as long as I'm alive. The Oklahoma City Thunder should not exist. It should still be the Seattle Supersonics, because the Seattle Supersonics had a 41-year history unfairly taken away from them by Clay Bennett and David Stern. Rest in peace, David Stern. I love you, but for that, I don't. The Seattle Supersonics should still be in operation. David Stern could have forked over the money needed to get a new arena in Seattle and place it anywhere he wanted to. He had the cash. It should not have even gotten political. It should not have even gone to that point. If you want a dynasty, it should have started in Seattle. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, all that should have been in Seattle, not Oklahoma City. Can you imagine the rivalry the Seattle Supersonics and the Golden State Warriors would have had? It would have been a rivalry that would have been groundbreaking. Beyond groundbreaking. I mean, who expected the Golden State Warriors to come out of nowhere, Mr. Parker? And I guess you forgot the fact that the Golden State Warriors came out of nowhere, Mr. Parker, after losing a 7-game series against the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round in 2014, Mr. Parker, to rise to power, win 67 games, and win the World Championship on the Cavaliers floor. Yeah. I guess you forgot all of that. I guess you forgot those facts. I guess you forgot the fact that the biggest rival, aside of the Cleveland Cavaliers, to this Warriors dynasty was the Houston Rockets. The Rockets had 4 shots at the Warriors. 4 of them. 4 shots at the Warriors, and they failed each and every time. A 5-game conquest in the Western Conference Finals in 2016, a 2015, I beg your pardon, a 5-game win in the first round in 2016, a 7-game win in the Western Conference Finals in 2018, and a 6-game conquest in the Western Conference semifinals in 2019. And oh, by the way, Stephen Curry went off for 33 points in the second half of Game 6, the walk-off victory in Houston, Texas. But I guess you forgot all of that, didn't you, Mr. Parker? Mr. Parker, allow me to remind you that this dynasty is still in motion. This is an off year. Dynasties have had off years. Ask the Boston Celtics. Ask the Los Angeles Lakers, who lost to Houston in 5 games in 1986. Did anyone call that dynasty over? No. The Boston Celtics had an 8-year run as world champions, and then they lost. Did anybody call their dynasty over? No. They're still regarded as one because of the number of championships they have won, the number of championships the Los Angeles Lakers have won, 17 and 16 if you're counting, and this Golden State Warriors team is still young. They still have the best ownership group in the business. They still have the best set of players in the league. It's not LeBron's league. It's not Russell's league. It's not Russell Westbrook. It's not James Harden's league. No, this league in current time belongs to the Splash Brothers, and as big of a decision as Kevin Durant made to join the Golden State Warriors, he made the decision to leave them. Oh, by the way, Mr. Parker, have you figured out the fact that Kevin Durant's not playing this year, or the possible fact that Kevin Durant may not play next year because of a serious injury, or have you forgotten the fact that that injury happened because he was giving himself to the Golden State Warriors? The Kevin Durant move to Golden State enhanced them the same way that Dennis Rodman going to Chicago enhanced the Bulls, the same way that James Worthy, a draft pick, mind the way, enhanced the Lakers, the same way that Bill Walton, who was drafted by the Portland Trailblazers enhanced the Boston Celtics in 1986, the same way, my friend, that having Sean Elliott return to the San Antonio Spurs after a stint with the Detroit Pistons enhanced the San Antonio Spurs in their dynastic run. And oh, by the way, have you figured out the fact that the Spurs never put 3 consecutive championships together, and yet they are called a dynasty for their run? Have you ever figured out the fact that the Lakers, who have three-peated on a couple of occasions, didn't have their dynasty called dead or fraudulent because of some of the players they had in their organization, nor have the Spurs, the Bulls, the Celtics, or anybody else that had a long run of championship excellence. In other words, what I'm saying to you, my friend, is that championship excellence depend on the parts of a team. You understand that? As much as of a LeBron hater that you are, and I give you credit for that, you have to remember, you can't hate hate Steph and the Warriors. You can't hate Steph and Clay. You can't hate the Splash Brothers because they are part of a team. Just as Tim Duncan and David Robinson were. Just as Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were. Just as Magic Johnson, Abdul-Jabbar, and James Worthy were. Just as Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish were. And oh, by the way, there was a trade that the Boston Celtics made in 1984 that brought them the final piece to their championship puzzle after being swept the year before by the Milwaukee Bucks. That piece's name was Dennis Johnson. He was traded to them courtesy of the Phoenix Suns. But I guess you forgot all of that, did you, Mr. Parker? Now, that's me.
Go!
I gotta take a break after all of that.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
I did not need to be told that.
Where true sports talk lives.
Excellent.
Can't wait.
Time for Transition Tuesday here on the program. And you know I can't do this by myself, so I got Russ Williams with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to talk to you again, Snowman. There's another Tuesday, and that makes time for our Transition Tuesday segment. Love it.
Yes, indeed it is. You can catch him every Tuesday night for a full show of Transition Tuesday. I had the chance to be on it, and for the better part, bragged about my beautiful wife, who's also one of my executive producers of the program. So your subject this week had me salivating because there's a phrase that says you can go from being the hunter to being the hunted. And when you threw this at me, I was licking my chops for this. Let's go. What you got for me?
Absolutely, Snowman. Well, there's some game plan steps, or as I like to coin the phrase, GPSs, that you have to take when you're transitioning to being the hunted. The first GPS is, and I'll start by this, Snowman. Snowman, are you a hip-hop fan at all?
I am.
All right. Now, I don't know if you remember, this group came out 25 years ago called the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, I remember them quite well.
And they had a pop. You remember them quite well? Well, they had a great song that gives us our first GPS. And that first GPS that they had, but the song that they had was called Protect Your Neck.
Yes.
So you have to protect your neck. That's right. You got to protect your neck when you're transitioning to being the hunted.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is you have to protect your neck at all times. You have to protect your neck at all times because when you're the hunted, people are coming for your neck. They're coming for you. And the great thing about that title, Protect Your Neck, there was a hip hop scholar who was part of the group, Raekwon the Chef.
Yes.
He had a great phrase, and he said, half of us will try to make it, the other half will try to take it.
Yes.
So just like I'm saying here with the protect your neck, it's very important because you earn the right to be hunted. People earn the right to be hunted through their hard work and dedication at their craft. So you have to protect your neck at all costs. So that is the first GPS when transitioning to be the hunted. Second GPS is you have to stay humble when you're being the hunted. What I mean by that is, Snowman, is you're going to wear a bullseye on your back. So you have to wear that bullseye on your back with humility and grace. But also on another hand, you have to really show people why you're the hunted now. And that's because due to your talent. So you really have to really stay humble. And, when you're going from being the hunter to the hunted.
What's so huge, and, you bring up two very good steps, protect your neck and use the humility. You would think, and stay humble, I beg your pardon. You would think they would be on opposite sides of the spectrum, and to the naked eye, they are on opposite sides of the spectrum. But at the same time, they are very much one and the same.
And being the hunted, if I'm reading you as correctly as I think I am, being transitioning from being the hunter to being the hunted, that involves a lot of confidence too.
It does. It definitely does. You know, like take, for example, the Chiefs. The Chiefs are now, they won the Super Bowl, so they are now going to be the hunted team. So every opponent that they play next year, they're gonna treat that game as like their Super Bowl. You know, they're the hunted. Also, the 49ers, even though they lost the game, they too are going to be the hunted team.
They're the NFC champions. They're the NFC champions.
Absolutely.
They're the NFC West champions.
Yes,
and this is a team that came out of nowhere. And sometime back during the season, I likened the 49ers to the Golden State Warriors, coming out of nowhere, snatching a conference title, which no one expected them to get. So the Chiefs and the 49ers are the hunted. They are indeed the hunted.
Absolutely, yeah. They're the hunted. You know, those teams, they're the hunted. They're really going to, you know, people are going to be going for that neck. You got to protect your neck.
Absolutely.
And the Chiefs and the 49ers, you have to protect your neck. You know, I'm looking at the Iowa caucuses that just went down, you know, recently. You know, the Democratic nominees, the person there, whoever comes out of that caucus is now going to be the front runner. So they are going to be the hunted as well. So they too have to protect their necks as well.
Well, but whoever comes out of the Iowa caucuses, not only are they the hunted, they're also the hunter trying to succeed the incumbent that's in office right now.
Absolutely, yes. You make a great point there, Snowman. Absolutely. So you always got to protect your neck. And, you know, we apply this sometimes to sports as we're doing now, you know, politics or what have you, but this could be everyday use for people, you know, people who are just, you know, starting out in jobs, you know, getting that job that they crave. You know, now they become the hunted. With everybody else trying to get their position in their spot. So I always recommend those two spots, you know, those two GPSs. You got to protect your neck from the jump, and also you got to stay humble in your process too as well.
Which one of these two steps do you think is the toughest to maintain?
Well, in my case, I live life with humility. So, for me, in my case, probably protect your neck would be the toughest one for me. Because again, it's all about, that's just a mentality that you have to really absorb. Like really you have to be confident. When you're protecting your neck, when you're protecting your self-worth at all costs, you got to be really confident in doing that, you know? So so in my case, I think protect your neck will be the toughest for me because I always try to live with humility all through my life. So, but protecting your neck will probably be the toughest one.
Well, for me, it's a combination of both because, and I go back, I mention my wife all the time on this program. Until I met her, I never knew how to put the entire picture together. And there are some days and there are some stretches of time where I still have difficulty putting the entire picture together. But learning about her and what she's gone through, it's becoming easier each day. It's a combination of both for me. Being the hunted, having the confidence in doing what I do in this program and the other programs that I put together, and also launching Snowman Digital Media, her having her confidence in what she's doing, you know, the confidence is there. You know, being the hunted is starting to become a reality, and in a good way, and I think I know you as well as I do to say this, in a good way, it also becomes a habit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so like take you, for example, Snowman, because you're climbing up the food chain in the podcast realm, right? So you're really doing that. So now you're going to you are becoming the hunted. You know, people are hearing more about the podcast, everything you do with the podcast. People are coming for that. So you too, Snowman, my man, have to protect your neck.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, I do. And not just for me and not just for the fans that listen to the show, also for my family. You know, it's so big. It's so big. You know this very well. It's so big, and I'm glad you referenced that song and referenced that particular song, Protect Your Neck. Let me speak to the men about this, and we talk to the men all the time. You got to protect your neck, especially when it comes to your craft, when it comes to your home, and when it comes to your family.
Absolutely. Just like Raekwon the Chef said, half of us will try to make it,
The other half will try to take it.
Absolutely. Hey, Snowman. Speaking of that Super Bowl and everything, what do you think about like the commercials of the Super Bowl? And more in particular, that Brady, the Tom Brady commercial, which I thought he was trolling people. In the case of, what's he gonna do? And like for me, I'm just looking at that commercial, looking at Tom Brady. He is a guy who is going to be hunted as well because he's going to be coveted. He's going to be romanced by other teams if he decides to leave the Patriots. So I want to get your thoughts on that. What were your thoughts on that Tom Brady commercial, him trolling the world? That's what I thought he was doing.
You know what? He trolled the world, but he also, for me, answered a question. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. You know, that's how I think of it. He's been coming out of that tunnel for 20 years. And he's at the end of his contract right now, and the whole social media universe has gone upside down, wondering where he's going to land next. And I've read some articles of where he could land. I mean, he's from California. He idolized Joe Montana for years. He's not going anywhere. He's staying right there in New England. This is Tom Brady we're talking about. Has he lost a step? Certainly. Has he lost a little zip on his arm? Certainly. But you really think he wants to move away from Bill Belichick and start a learning process all over again after what he's had for 20 seasons? I think not.
Well, I look at it kind of a little differently there, Snowman, because I'm looking at it almost like a Kobe Bryant with Shaq sense.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, he strived to, get away from out of Shaq's shadow and prove to the world that he can win without Shaq. So I'm thinking these guys are two competitors, Belichick and Brady. And I can see Brady as a competitor, seeing if he can do it on his own, so that way he won't be, left with the stigma of those two winning championships. I think he might be up to the challenge to do that. But again, it's all speculative. We don't really know. But I can see him. I can see him trying to do it, though. I can definitely see him trying to do it and go elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just have to see what happens. We will just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to see how that process plays out. Speaking of process, that's the end of this one. This is Transition Tuesday with Russ Williams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Absolutely. On Twitter, you can find me at All Will Transition. At Instagram, you can find me at All Will Transitions with an S. And please, your audience out there, please email me at allwilltransitions@gmail.com. Again, I'm available for transitional services in terms of individual instructions and sessions that I provide, and also I'm also for speaking engagements as well. So just hit me there at allwilltransitions@gmail.com. Would love to talk to you guys and make sure everybody protects your neck out there.
That's our Transition Tuesday, going from being the hunter to being the hunted. And you'd like to be the hunted because it lets you know you're one of the best at your craft. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Speaking of Tom Brady, speaking of him, there are a few other quarterbacks that have come to the end of their contract. Is it the end of their rope? I'll explain when y'all get back.
Hey boys and girls, I have a question for you. What are you doing listening to the Talking Heads? Turn on Snowman in the morning for real sports talk. He has the hot takes that will make you melt.
What? That's a spicy meatball!
Don't forget, folks, to follow along at SNW Digital Media for all of our great programming. Now, let me bring in Sharif Ahmed so we can talk some NBA for this next segment. How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you, Brian?
Been busy, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's hop right in, shall we? So,
yes,
Joakim Noah is going to sign with the Clippers. Dion Waiters is going to sign with the Lakers. Anything wrong with that picture?
No. Well, the thing is it's really hard for me to believe that these signings are coming in now to shore up their playoff rosters.
Yep.
Dion Waiters it's just another old guy coming off the bench. The Lakers didn't get any younger.
Nope. They didn't get any smarter either.
No. And everyone is thinking that the Lakers are going to win the whole thing, and it's not going to happen. And the team is getting older, and Brian, it's mind-boggling. I don't know how to rationalize with fans anymore because, now that Joakim Noah's with the Clippers, Joakim Noah really, I'm speechless about it. The guy's injury prone. He can't shoot.
Yep.
What is he going to give you? Between 9 and 11 minutes a night, if that? I mean,
my question is this: why did neither of these teams that have a point guard deficiency try to offer a package for Derrick Rose?
I don't understand that either. And the thing that really is mind-boggling to me is that there were some decent point guards that were out there.
Yeah.
And the Lakers were actually courting Darren Collison, who retired.
And Darren Collison said, "No, thank you." He saw that mess. He saw that mess.
And
yes,
he sure did.
Run by Rob Pelinka. He saw that craziness that was run by Rob Pelinka, and he said, "You know what? I think I'm better retired." And I can't say I blame him.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Darren Collison an L.A. boy too? Isn't he from the L.A. area?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
And it's just, and that's what I didn't understand. And he retired, and I thought when his contract ended with Indiana, I was like, man, you can get a playoff team, and he can come off the bench, give you about 19 to 22 minutes a night, and he just had no interest in playing. And for him to be sitting next to Jeannie Buss and basically say thanks but no thanks, what does that tell everybody?
It tells.
I don't get it.
It tells you that the Lakers are now, and I hate to say this because once upon a time I loved the Lakers, the Showtime Lakers, you're old school like I am.
Yeah.
The Showtime Lakers were run correctly. This form of the Showtime Lakers, if you want to call them that, is being run into they're being run into the dirt.
And the common denominator is LeBron.
Yes.
We talked about. I think we had talked about this. We talked about this the last time we had spoke.
Right.
The team that they had drafted was a young core.
Yep.
And Mitch Kupchak and Jeannie Buss's brother. His first name is killing me right now, but they drafted the team.
Jim
and
Buss.
They accumulated that young core.
Yeah, they drafted that core, but they didn't ride with them when they saw an opportunity to get LeBron.
Yes.
Okay? Which brings me to this point. And you already said it. The common denominator is LeBron and his destructive nature. People don't want to see the truth when it comes to LeBron, but I offered the case of one Kyrie Irving. And here's why I'm going here with Kyrie. I talked about this some time back, and you heard it. You caught on to it. A couple of my buddies caught on, but no one wants to see the truth, which is this. LeBron James ruined Kyrie Irving. Since Kyrie Irving has left Cleveland and left LeBron's tutelage, if you want to call it that, he has not been the same person. And if you want to take a peek into the future, I'm willing to bet you the Lakers are going to overload an offer to get Kyrie out of Brooklyn and to Los Angeles. I see it coming.
But the thing is that by you saying that, what assets do the Lakers have? That is the big question.
Mm-hmm.
All the assets were liquidated for basically a rental in Anthony Davis.
And it's a 1-year rental. Anthony Davis is a 1-year rental because I said this the last time I had you on the program. Anthony Davis is going to go home, and home is Chicago.
It's Chicago.
And the Bulls.
And Chicago has a young nucleus, too.
Not only do they have a young nucleus, and they also have something the Lakers don't have, cap space. Lots of cap space. There are 2 destinations for Anthony Davis, but we know where he's going. One is Chicago. The other is San Francisco with the Golden State Warriors, but the Warriors already have a power play in mind, and I'll get to that here in just a moment. Sharif Ahmed of Sharif Ahmed Sports Talk joining me. The Lakers are a poorly run organization. It's being manifested right now with them signing basically LeBron's boys. Deion Waiters is one. J.R. Smith is going to be another. Why didn't they make the correct move and go after Kevin Love, who is a UCLA graduate? He's from Los Angeles. He's been wanting to go home for years. Why didn't they go after him?
Well, the thing is that Kevin Love was a 22-11 guy when he was in Minnesota.
Right.
Those numbers completely diminished when he played with LeBron.
True.
And he was upper teens, 18, 19-ish a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was primarily a stretch four.
Mm-hmm.
And it just would not fit for him to go back.
Right.
Yeah, he's from California. The Clippers could have made a move for him, but the red flag on Kevin Love is that he does get injured. When he gets injured,
injury prone.
He sits for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just these people. It's just I'm having these back and forths with these LeBron people, and they just don't see it because it's just.
I love it. I love it because and I love it because people don't want to see the truth. People don't want to see the truth when it comes to the Lakers and LeBron. They don't want to see the truth.
No, and if the Lakers don't win this year, and they're not going to,
they're going to dismantle the
team.
If
the Lakers don't win this year, and the only thing they're going to have is LeBron. They have the only young talent that they have. The only young chip they have that value is Kuzma.
It's Kyle Kuzma.
And he's injury prone.
Yep. And they dealt their biggest piece. Their biggest piece, if you think about it last year, was Ivica Zubac. And they basically gave him away. They gave away Ivica Zubac. Why?
And the guy that they got in return is no longer on the team.
Exactly.
I don't even think he's not even in the league right now.
He's
and the
not.
thing is this, man. LeBron just doesn't like dealing with young talent.
Nope.
In order to be a true leader, you need to have young talent and rally that young talent with a mixture of your veteran group. Great players have done it.
Yeah, Michael Jordan did it.
He refuses to do it.
Michael Jordan did it. He had Scottie Pippen, had to teach Scottie Pippen the ropes, had to teach Craig Hodges, John Paxson. And Pax was basically Tony Kukoc. Yeah. Thank you. Tony Kukoc.
Yeah, Tony Kukoc.
And Horace Grant.
And they treated
Horace Grant.
Yes, and they treated Tony. They beat the hell out of Tony Kukoc in the gold medal game in '92.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
They beat him up, but when he came to the Bulls, he fit right in.
He did.
And basically, he's like, "This is your role. This is what you're gonna do," and he went ahead and did it. And he did what he was supposed to do. But instead, today's game is not like that anymore.
Nope. And a fellow that returned Thursday night, Stephen Curry, is an example of a leader. He rallies the young talent. Even though they lost on Thursday night to Toronto. A, Toronto's the defending champions. B, they have a deep roster. But when you see Stephen Curry on the court, all you can do is imagine what's going to happen next year. Because I've said this to you, and I've said this to a couple of others, and you are the only person that believes my next statement, which goes like this. The Warriors are going to be back on top in the West, if not in the NBA, next year, because they have a power play in place. They have a plan in place, something the Clippers don't have, something the Lakers don't have. All they're doing right now is keeping that hot spot, the top spot warm for when Golden State returns. And if you think they're going to deal Draymond Green for a couple of the big men that are in play, you are stupid to think that. The Warriors have a plan in place. They have some draft capital. They have some cap space. They're going to keep a little bit of their draft capital because you know they have to rebuild the bench again. Okay?
Yes.
But when you see Steph on the court Thursday night, hitting 30-footers like they were nothing, you just got to sit back and go, uh-oh, next season's going to be wild in the Chase Center.
Here's the question I have for you, because you you're more involved with the Warriors because you follow them a lot more than I do.
Yes.
Wouldn't it have been safer to sit him the rest of the year?
Yes.
Accumulate the higher percentage of draft lottery because they're going to be in the lottery.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to get a minimum.
But with a talent like that,
5 picks.
But at the same time, with a talent like that, if he's itching to come back, you let him come back. A broken hand is a lot different than the injury Clay suffered in the World Championship Series. So you allow him to get his itches out. And I don't think he's going to play the rest of the year. I think it's going to be a few games for him to get that itch out, and then he's going to work with Clay, work with Draymond, and they're going to get their chemistry back together. Okay? So you got to look at it like this. It was a nationally televised game. If you want to call TNT, and I've been wanting to say this for years, if you want to call TNT a nationally televised game, I feel the same way about another 4-letter network. That's a conversation for another show. It's a nationally televised game. Okay? So you let Steph show off a little bit, give a little glimpse into what's going to happen next year. That's it.
Well, yeah, and he played 27 minutes, and he played 27 minutes last night, and that's, to me, that is a lot of minutes coming off an injury of that. Yeah. And he was gone for, I think, 55 or 56 games or something
games.
Like that.
58 games.
58 games. So you would think that there would be some type of numbers restriction, putting him in certain, put him in with the second group or put him in the latter half of the first half and try to get him in the mix between.
Well, they didn't start him. They didn't start him. Okay, and that's a smart thing.
Right.
They did not start him. You don't want to bring Steph or Clay or both back immediately. They followed the pattern they followed when he was injured against the Portland Trailblazers 3 years ago. They didn't start him. He played significant minutes Thursday night, yes, and he was dynamite. All right, yes, he was 6 for 16, but some of the shots that he hit, it's going to take that kind of conditioning. Yes, I would love to have had the Warriors sit him for the remainder of the season, but at the same time, the itch is going to be even wilder than normal for him to come back. If he's ready, he's ready. This is kind of like what Michael Jordan went through in 1986 when he lost 60. Yeah, when he with his broken foot, when he lost 64 games in the 85-86 season. Michael was ready to come back. The Bulls were prepared to sit him for the remainder of the season, but Michael wasn't having it. I don't think Steph would have had it either. Clay does not have a choice because you want that quad injury. You want that ACL. I beg your pardon. You want that ACL to be completely healed. You want it to be completely healed. So you do not take chances with Klay Thompson, who is Steph Curry's backcourt partner for life. Okay, they're going to retire Warriors. Steph's going to get one more extension. I think Klay's going to play one more extension on top of the one that he just signed after they lost in the World Championship Series. And they're going to hang it up. And what better place to hang it up than in San Francisco? Draymond Green's going to follow the same pattern. But we'll close with this point. I have two big men, now three, in play for Golden State to go after. And they have the capital to do it. Karl Anthony Towns, Kevin Love, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. All three of those big men are in play for Golden State, and they will land one of them.
Let me tell you this, man. You can go on YouTube and look at this video. And this was at the beginning of the season. After the Warriors were at Milwaukee.
Yep.
And it was the end of the game. They were saying good game. And you can read, if you read the lips of Steph Curry, he said, and I quote, "Let's do this."
Yeah. And the explanation that came out was it was for a video game. I'm starting to think otherwise. I'm starting to think otherwise.
But the one thing I do want to say is that if Milwaukee wins the title, which they have a very good chance of winning it, if they win the title, he's not going to leave Milwaukee.
Exactly.
He's not.
But if
he's
they
not going to
don't,
leave.
but if they
lose,
but if they don't come out of the East, and unfortunately, Bucks fans, I hate to say this about the league-leading Bucks, if they don't come out of the East, and I don't think they will, Giannis is out of there, and he's going right to San Francisco. I'll tease this. And I'll have to have you on later in the week. I'll tease this. I'll give you 2 reasons why I believe Milwaukee will not win the East. One is the Boston Celtics. The other is the defending world champion Toronto Raptors. Milwaukee can get on a good roll during the regular season. But when the chips are on the line, and I'll put it in the form of a question, how will they react when all you have to do with Giannis, and Giannis needs a better defensive system around him? Chris Middleton ain't it, okay? I hate to say it. Chris Middleton ain't it. But if you're going to send a posse after Giannis, who's going to take the mantle for Milwaukee? That's the question they have to answer, and they got a month and a half to do it.
That's something, again, like you said, that is another debate. I just, it's hard for me to fathom it because they're on such a roll right now.
Oh yeah,
and some of the players underneath them, some of the bench players. Because we talked before, I do fantasy basketball.
Yes.
They're like the numbers, like I think Doug, I can't remember his name, DiVincenzo. He's number 0.
DiVincenzo out of Villanova.
There you
DiVincenzo.
go. Yes. I'm using him as an example.
Okay.
He was playing lower 11, 12s. Now his time has been bumped up to 19 to 20 a game. Mm-hmm. And there's been spot games, on back-to-backs and so on and so forth, where he would come in and score 18, 20 points, 4 for 6 from three-point land,
right,
and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And I understand what you're saying. And they do have a group of veteran players that I know that will step up in that crunch time.
Okay. I want to see it.
But again,
I'd love to see Milwaukee come out of the East. I would. But I'm looking at recent trends. And recent trends tell me if you send a posse after Giannis, he's going to have some problems. Now, if his jump shot is on, then they're the most unstoppable team in the NBA. Okay? And remember last year they won 62 games. They had the best record in the NBA, and had they gotten out of the East, they would have had the home court advantage in the World Championship Series, just like Toronto did. I want to see Milwaukee have some. I want to see DiVincenzo, Middleton, and others step all the way up when the time comes. That can only be answered in April and beyond.
And another thing I wanted to tell you too, I'm trying to remember the last televised game that the Bucks had. I think was it against Toronto?
It was.
I forgot which game.
Actually, it was against Utah. They were last televised against Utah.
Yeah, and you know who was in the building? Kareem was in the building.
Captain Skyhook himself. Captain
Yeah,
Skyhook
and
himself.
and that would be another thing. That would be something good to see if Milwaukee can get in the finals, because Kareem, the captain, will be in the house. And
absolutely,
it'd be good for him to go to Milwaukee and root for the Bucks. Instead of the Lakers,
That's where his career started.
That would be great.
That's where his career started. Sharif Ahmed joining me for some NBA talk. You can hear this conversation many times over on snowmandigitalmedia.com, as well as the Full Press NBA podcast. Great to have you, brother. We will do this again.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Stick around. I got more stuff for you in a flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
I did not need to be told that.
Where true sports talk lives.
Excellent.
Can't wait. The sports world has been ground to a halt. This COVID-19, a.k.a. the coronavirus, is serious. especially when the 4 major sports leagues have called a halt to their season. Andy Dorff joins me now to help break this down. Dorff, how are you?
Can't complain, Snowman. Obviously a tough time for sports lovers and in general just a tough time with what's happening in the world right now, my friend.
It is a very, very tough time right now. When all of the news started coming down about, well, let's just start with the NCAA, because right now that has to have the biggest impact, especially on the verge of March Madness.
Absolutely. And obviously they were the last domino to fall in this puzzle. The NBA, I think, was very on top of the situation, and I'm not surprised. They do a pretty good job of handling most situations when it comes to crisis and things along those lines. And, I think that they open the door for everybody else to just kind of follow suit. And, the NCAA was like the last one to fall. And I think that for a long time, people were pretty disappointed in how they were trying to go about it and handle it and continue to proceed like life is normal when, quite frankly, my friend, it's not normal. And people got to realize that there is a real situation going on. And quite frankly, the biggest fear I have is stupidity. And, I'll take the example from the NBA of Rudy Gobert and showing you how somebody can be fooling around and joking around and kidding around about things. And bam, I'm sorry, but karma's a bitch, brother. It really is. Because quite frankly, he winds up being tested for it and has it. And because of his joking around, touching things and teammates and reporters, well, at least Donovan Mitchell is also positive with coronavirus. So I think that people got to realize when you're sick, don't put your hands on people. Like,
right.
Nobody wants what you have. Like, what's wrong with people? I guess I just don't understand that people don't realize when you're sick, don't go touching people and don't be going out places to infect other people with what you may have. Like, that's stupidity, brother. I'm sorry.
It is
stupidity.
Just
really stupid.
It's absolute stupidity. I mean, what's the phrase? If common sense were common. And I'm sorry, Rudy Gobert, you had no business being sick. Well, can't have no business being sick, but you had no business touching everything or everyone around you when you knew you were sick. And now it comes back to bite him. And not only does it bite him, it also bites Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I honestly, bro, I think that, I was talking to my radio partner, obviously, here in Phoenix about this a little bit off the air, and I said, quite frankly, I'm sorry, but that's the kind of act that somebody should be penalized for. And I know that Rudy's come out on Instagram and, apologize to people and things like that, but the true severity of this is real. And I think that obviously he now has remorse, and I understand that, but quite frankly, man, I would sit Rudy Gobert down if the NBA does come back. I would say to sit him down for the rest of the season and punish him for an act like that, because not only did he get the virus, his teammate has it, and who knows how many other people potentially have it because of all the different people that he was in contact with. So again, man, sometimes life lessons are tough to learn, and I think that Rudy Gobert should honestly have a lesson taught to him, man. I'm sorry, but that's my feeling.
You know what? And I don't blame you for having that feeling, and I also agree with you for that as well. I mean, you just don't do that. Again, if common sense were common sense says if you're sick, you don't touch anything. All right? Or anyone. You don't want to contaminate other people. And now he's not only contaminated himself, he's contaminated his teammate, which could pluralize in the next few days. We don't know what's going to happen, but it also could pluralize the entire league. It could contaminate the entire league. Now, at this point in time, the NBA said that they are suspending games right now, and the word I got is for the next 2 weeks they're going to be suspended. But there is a very true possibility that this season is over.
Yeah, that's true. And, the owners are encouraging the NBA to reevaluate the season suspension in about 30 days is kind of what I've heard. And you know what, man? Look, I got to tell you, my humble opinion, Snowman, is the next 3 to 6 months are going to be very interesting here in America. We're a little behind the 8 ball on this whole thing. What's going on in Italy is real, and quite frankly, the sports world has to take a little bit of a break. I'm okay with that because we're learning over the past few months how precious life can truly be, man.
Yeah.
I mean, with what happened with Kobe and the 8 other people on that helicopter, this kind of thing happens, bro. I'm sorry, but all this stuff puts life in perspective for me, man. And I don't need, I was on my way to go to the Pac-12 conference tournament. Dude, I was pretty ready. To be honest with you, man, I said last night, I'm not going, man. And, my girlfriend's upset and going, this is something that you really enjoy and you want to go and do it. And I said, babe, you know what? Being here with you tomorrow is more important than me going to that today, because I don't want to be putting myself in a position where somebody could cough on me. And I'm sorry, but maybe I'm a little bit crazy, but I'll err on the side of caution right now, Snowman. That's the way the Dwarf Man thinks.
That's the best way, is to err on the side of caution. And, I was kind of disappointed when credential request wasn't honored for me to go cover the ACC tournament. But at the same time, with all of this happening, hey, I'm glad I am here and not in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Well, and quite frankly, you'd be on your way back anyway. So,
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, It was a blessing in disguise in that respect. But I just think that, sometimes when things like this happen, you just got to realize what's important to you. And I think that life and your health are extremely important. And, I think people got to understand that there is a real problem. It's global, and it gets worse before it gets better. I'm telling you that, and I'm not trying to scare people, but quite the opposite, man. I encourage people to read as much as they can and get as educated as they possibly can about all kinds of things. And this is just another one of those things for you to go out and educate yourself about and have more information so that you don't feel like somebody's telling you what to do, and rather that they're just trying to help explain that, you know what, sometimes it's okay to not go out and always have to be in the midst of everything. And, if you're not around millions of people all the time, you know what, it's okay. And quite frankly, man, in the world that you and I live, where we're always interacting with people and touching people's hands and things along those lines, I'm sorry, but I'm okay taking a little break from that, Snowman. I really am, okay?
I am also. He's Andy Dorf, the man in charge of Dorf on Sports. You can hear him every Sunday afternoon, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Sirius XM Channel 211. Thanks a lot for jumping on to offer your thoughts, my friend.
Yeah, man, I just want to leave you with this. I heard this, and I thought it was pretty awesome when I'm listening to Matt Barnes talk about the whole situation. And quite frankly, nobody thinks about it, but that ball itself is extremely dirty. Think about how many different hands are touching that ball. There's just so many germs out there in the world that we take for granted. And you know what? Our bodies are great machines, man. We can fight off a lot of things. And again, I'm just going to leave you with this. Education and getting knowledge about things is the key to success in every regard. I'll be honest with you, man. In every regard, you got to be well educated and informed about what you're doing. So I leave you with the thought of just telling people, don't be scared. Educate yourself.
Please do, folks. Please do. Thanks a lot, Dorf.
Have a great day, my friend. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk soon.
We'll talk soon.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what?
I did not need to be told that.
Welcome back to the program, folks. Don't forget, check out the Patreon. Patreon.com/SIT Morning. That will go through a name change, and it will be re-released later on today. I got to tell you something. I love when I do this program and the others and my podcast, and I spit out some truth and I get pushback for it. I absolutely love that. Why, you ask? Because it tells me I'm doing something right. For once, I'm doing something right. And I couldn't be happier. Because it lets me know that I have touched a nerve with sports fans who like or dislike my opinion, and the debate/discussion starts. I'll give you an example. When I said that the Brooklyn Nets need to cut bait with Kyrie Irving and tell him, hit the road, Jack, don't you come back no more, the pushback began almost immediately. It began almost immediately. Matter of fact, Trey Larkins, who I'm going to have on the show later this week, told me that I needed to stop it because I'm just saying stuff. So y'all know I'm going to pick on him when I have him on the show. That'll be later this week. Y'all know that, for lack of a better sentence, I love pissing people off. And I mean that playfully, and I mean that truthfully. I want people to hear my opinion and then do your own research. As a popular YouTuber, David Carroll, said, all I can do is sit it in your lap. All I can do is sit it in your lap. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Do the research for yourself with some of the opinions that I have. And I've had many a fan and many a friend tell me my opinion was wrong, and they had the resources to back it up. Joshua Lopez, my brother, to say that Joshua Lopez is a friend of mine would be a horrible understatement. Joshua Lopez is a brother, and I've known him for 8 years now. Yeah, 8 years. We had a short falling out about one Colin Kaepernick, because the numbers that I was looking at were not the ones he was looking at, because Joshua Lopez taught me a very important lesson about doing a deeper dive into the athletes that I cover. Well, when it came to Colin Kaepernick, I did. And it turns out Joshua Lopez was right in coining the term Crappernick, because Kaepernick played like crap in the last 4 years of his career, which is why Kaepernick will never get another job again in the NFL. I have a few more reasons behind that, but you'll have to go search the archives for that conversation. I came to Josh and I said, you know what, brother? I was wrong. I was dead wrong. You backed up your talk. And I love him to this day for it. I love him to this day because he and many others have proven me wrong. I never said I was the end-all, be-all, know-it-all when it came to sports. I know I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to sports, but I'm still learning on a daily basis as a fan and as a journalist. As a fan and as a journalist, I'm learning a lot more every day. And I couldn't be happier doing it. But it took a few 100,000 slices of humble pie for me to get to that point. Because I got to tell you something. I was smelling my own, in the words of my dad. I thought, hey, nobody could touch me when it came to sports knowledge. Boy, I was wrong. And I'm glad I was wrong. I can't tell y'all how glad I am I was wrong. Because when I say that I am wrong, it opened the door for me to learn. It opened the door for me to learn a lot of lessons. And I've had to really learn about myself in the past 8 years. I've had to learn about my craft the last 8 years. But what I've also learned is to not be afraid to share what I think and stand by it. Stand by it and don't waver. I'm not wavering about my opinion of Kyrie Irving. I'm not wavering in my opinion of LeBron James. I'm not wavering in my opinion of Michael Jordan. I'm not wavering in my opinion of any of these players that I have described, talked about, referenced, spoken about on this show. No matter what the sport. Period. I'm not wavering anymore. I shouldn't have wavered in the first place. But as I sit here today doing this show and bringing it for you guys, a lot has been learned by me. A lot. And it took some of my friends, and it took losing a few friends to bring it to me. It really did. It took me losing a lot of people that I felt were important in my life over a subject as simple as sports to knock some sense into my head. I borrow from one of my favorite movies of all time, The Lion King. Matthew Broderick voiced adult Simba. And the line goes as follows, and I quote, "I finally got some sense knocked into me, and I got the bump to prove it." Yeah, I got a lot of bumps to prove it, especially in dealing with some people that tried their absolute best. They tried their best to take things from me. And that's about all I'll say. You want more? Check out Snowman Unfiltered. But yeah, this is me being humble for you fans. This is me being there for you guys and with you guys and saying, you know what? I had a lot to learn. And I have a lot more to learn. A lot. I have a lot more to learn. And I couldn't be happier. I could not be happier in the place where I am right now and the place where I am going.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
I did not need to be told that.
Where true sports talk lives.
Excellent.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Hope you're enjoying it as we're enjoying bringing it to you. You know, I am a fan of podcasts. I record them, I produce them, and I listen to them, a lot of them. And this one got my attention, and you guys know that I've begun to recommend a lot of good podcasts for y'all to listen to. Well, this one not only involves sports, it also involves life. And when I listened to it, I knew, well, when I heard about it, I knew I had to listen to it. I listened to it. I became a subscriber immediately, and I'm going to recommend this even before we get this done. The lady that I have on the line is the author of said podcast, Combining Football and Life. And when you listen to this podcast, you're going to get a lot out of it, and I recommend you not only sign up for it, download it, I just recommend everything about it. This is Jennifer Garrett, and she joins me right now. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Okay, you got to tell me how you put this podcast together. What gave you the idea, and what gave you the inspiration to put it together?
Sure. So my podcast is called Move the Ball, and that name was taken from a book that I wrote 7 years ago. And the book was about how you could take football lessons specifically and apply them off the field to be successful in business and in life. And after the book was published, I spent the last 7 years really working with people on how to move the ball and really grow that brand. And I decided that I wanted to do the podcast because it was just another great way to connect with people, having great conversations with professional athletes of all sports, as well as business leaders, on how we can use the athlete mentality and put into practice success strategies and habits so that we can get ourselves to the next level.
You started the podcast the day after the Super Bowl. You really pumped it up. And I have to tell you, I really enjoy it. I know I'm going to enjoy it a lot. What got you into football? What got you started in liking football?
Great question. So I grew up in Chicago in the 80s. I just fell in love with the game. You know, ever since I was 4, I would watch football games with my parents. And what really intrigued me about the sport was not only the fast-paced nature of the game, but also there were these games where you would have these fourth quarter comebacks where teams were down, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns, and the game wasn't over until the game clock hit 0. And so I just found that fascinating and studied the sport my entire life and applied lessons from the game into my own life.
That is great. So you grew up a fan of the Bears back in the 80s, huh? Because I too am from Chicago, and I've seen the Bears over many years. Are there any other teams that you follow aside of the Bears?
Professional or college or either?
Either one.
So I am an Alabama alum, so I very much follow the University of Alabama football team. We had a rough season here this past season, but they'll be back next year for sure.
So I could have you on the show, and all I have to say is roll tide, and off to the races we go. How about a professional aside of the Bears? You follow anyone else?
There's a lot of teams that I like to watch. I think there's some great leaders who are great people both on and off the field. So it's not just the talent, but it's the character. Everyone talks about Tom Brady, right, and how great he was in New England. We'll see where he ends up going. But I do enjoy watching that team because of the leadership. There's a lot of people that don't like watching the.
Well, people have hated on my team because my original team in professional football was the 49ers, and because of a fellow named Joe Montana, who Tom Brady gets compared to all the time. So I completely understand, the hatred, but I draw the same comparison that people do with Tom Brady and the Patriots. It's because of the way that Montana led his team on the field and the way the organization is run. And a lot of that you can apply to what you do with your podcast, which is very motivational, and I absolutely love it. And the lessons that you bring, you can, like you said, you can apply it to life.
Yeah. So I say, I do like watching the Patriots. I mean, there's a lot of great teams. I do like Andy Reid. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely.
For winning the Super Bowl. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is just a class act. I enjoyed watching the game. Their organization. There's some NFC East teams that I like watching. The Eagles. I like watching the Cowboys. And so, I mean, I'm just a fan of the game, and I love watching good games. So I don't just sit down and watch the Bears play.
Absolutely wonderful. Talking with Jennifer Garrett. I love a phrase that I happened to catch when I was doing my research for this interview, and I love how you put this. Quote, "You are the quarterback. Your life is the game. Own it and move the ball." There's your purpose right there for your podcast. Who are some of the guests that you've taped episodes with or going to tape episodes with so far?
Sure. So the first 3 episodes were released just this past week. The first one was just a solo of me, but I had on the show already Chris Bleak. Chris was the quarterback who led the Florida Gators to their national championship in the 2006 season. So he was right before Tim Tebow. Tebow was a freshman when Chris was a senior, taking that team to their championship. Also, I had on Terrence Wood, who is the grandson of Hall of Famer, Pro Football Hall of Famer Willie Wood, who played for the Packers in the 1960s. Some other guests that I've recorded with already, Paul Pratt. Paul played with the Detroit Lions, and he's got a great organization called Second Wind Mentors, where he mentors young boys of single-parent homes currently. So we had a great episode. Another gentleman, Tony Simmons. Tony played on the Patriots. He played on a number of teams. He was nicknamed Touchdown Tony, played at Wisconsin for college ball. Some future guests that are coming up as well. Eric Dungy, who is the son of Tony Dungy. We're going to be recording an episode here in a couple of weeks. But it's not just football athletes. So I've also got a pro skateboarder, Mikey Taylor, who I recorded a show with. His episode will come out early March. Also Rob Murray. Rob played in the National Hockey League and the American Hockey League for many years. He's currently coaching the Tulsa Oilers, which is a minor league hockey team. So my goal is really a good cross section of athletes from all sports.
Absolutely wonderful. Again, this is Jennifer Garrett. You can find her podcast on anywhere where you listen to. It's called Move the Ball. It's the Move the Ball podcast, and it's absolutely wonderful. Tell everybody where they can find you, my dear.
Yeah, so the easiest way, it's going to be on all the platforms, or it is on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. But if you just go to movetheballpodcast.com, you can listen to it directly there, and there are links to all of those other podcasting platforms.
Jennifer Garrett joining me here on the program to talk Move the Ball and how she uses football to move the ball in life, and you can do the same thing. Absolutely great having you on. I got to have you on again soon.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate being on the show today.
We got more coming up in a smidge.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what?
I did not need to be told that.
Time for Transition Tuesday here on the program, and you know I can't do this by myself, so I got Russ Williams with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to talk to you again, Snowman. There's another Tuesday, and that makes time for our Transition Tuesday segment. Love it.
Yes, indeed it is. You can catch him every Tuesday night for a full show of Transition Tuesday. I had the chance to be on it, and for the better part, bragged about my beautiful wife, who's also one of my executive producers of the program. So your subject this week had me salivating, because there's a phrase that says you can go from being the hunter to being the hunted. And when you threw this at me, I was licking my chops for this. Let's go. What you got for me?
Absolutely, Snowman. Well, there's some game plan steps, or as I like to coin the phrase, GPSs, that you have to take when you're transitioning to being the hunted. The first GPS is, and I'll start by this, Snowman. Snowman, are you a hip-hop fan at all?
I am.
All right. Now, I don't know if you remember, this group came out 25 years ago called the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, I remember them quite well.
And they had a pop. You remember them quite well? Well, they had a great song that gives us our first GPS. And that first GPS that they had, the song that they had was called Protect Your Neck.
Yes.
So you have to protect your neck. That's right. You got to protect your neck when you're transitioning to being the hunted.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is you have to protect your neck at all times. You have to protect your neck at all times, because when you're the hunted, people are coming for your neck. They're coming for you. And the great thing, about that title, Protect Your Neck, there was a hip hop scholar who was part of the group, Raekwon the Chef.
Yes.
He had a great phrase, and he said, half of us will try to make it, the other half will try to take it.
Yes.
So just like I'm saying here with the Protect Your Neck, it's very important, because you earn the right to be hunted. People earn the right to be hunted through their hard work and dedication at their craft. So you have to protect your neck at all costs. So that is the first GPS when transitioning to be the hunted. Second GPS is you have to stay humble when you're being the hunted. What I mean by that is, Snowman, is you're going to wear a bullseye on your back. So you have to wear that bullseye on your back with humility and grace. But also, on another hand, you have to really show people why you're the hunted now. And that's because due to your talent. So you really have to really stay humble. And, when you're going from being the hunter to the hunted.
What's so huge, and you bring up two very good steps: protect your neck and use the humility. You would think and stay humble. I beg your pardon. You would think they would be on opposite sides of the spectrum, and to the naked eye, they are on opposite sides of the spectrum. But at the same time, they are very much one and the same. And being the hunted, if I'm reading you as correctly as I think I am, transitioning from being the hunter to being the hunted, that involves a lot of confidence too.
It does. It definitely does. Take, for example, the Chiefs. The Chiefs they won the Super Bowl, so they are now going to be the hunted team. So every opponent that they play next year, they're going to treat that game as like their Super Bowl. They're the hunted. Also, the 49ers, even though they lost the game, they too are going to be the hunted team.
They're the NFC champions. They're the NFC champions.
Absolutely.
They're the NFC West champions.
Yes,
and this is a team that came out of nowhere. And sometime back during the season, I'd liken the 49ers to the Golden State Warriors, coming out of nowhere, snatching a conference title, which no one expected them to get. So the Chiefs and the 49ers are the hunted. They are indeed the hunted.
Absolutely, yeah. They're the hunted. Those teams, they're the hunted. They're really going to, people are going to be going for that neck. You got to protect your neck.
Absolutely.
And the Chiefs and the 49ers, you have to protect your neck. I'm looking at the Iowa caucuses that just went down, recently. The Democratic nominees, the person there, whoever comes out of that caucus is now going to be the front runner. So they are going to be the hunted as well. So they too have to protect their necks as well.
Well, but whoever comes out of the Iowa caucuses, not only are they the hunted, they're also the hunter trying to succeed the incumbent that's in office right now.
Absolutely, yes. You make a great point there, Snowman. Absolutely. So you always got to protect your neck. And, we apply this sometimes to sports as we're doing now, politics or what have you, but this could be everyday use for people, people who are just, starting out in jobs, getting that job that they crave. Now they become the hunted. With everybody else trying to get their position in their spot. So I always recommend those two spots, those two GPSs. You got to protect your neck from the jump, and also you got to stay humble in your process too as well.
Which one of these two steps do you think is the toughest to maintain?
Well, in my case, I live life with humility. So, for me, in my case, probably protect your neck would be the toughest one for me. Because again, it's all about, that's just a mentality that you have to really absorb. Like really you have to be confident. When you're protecting your neck, when you're protecting your self-worth at all costs, you got to be really confident in doing that, So so in my case, I think protect your neck will be the toughest for me because I always try to live with humility all through my life. So, but protecting your neck will probably be the toughest one.
Well, for me, it's a combination of both because, and I go back, I mention my wife all the time on this program. Until I met her, I never knew how to put the entire picture together. And there are some days and there are some stretches of time where I still have difficulty putting the entire picture together. But learning about her and what she's gone through, it's becoming easier each day. It's a combination of both for me. Being the hunted, having the confidence in doing what I do in this program and the other programs that I put together, and also launching Snowman Digital Media, her having her confidence in what she's doing, the confidence is there. Being the hunted is starting to become a reality, and in a good way, and I think I know you as well as I do to say this, in a good way, it also becomes a habit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so like take you, for example, Snowman, because you're climbing up the food chain in the podcast realm, right? So you're really doing that. So now you're going to becoming, you are becoming the hunted. You know, people are hearing more about the podcast, everything you do with the podcast. People are coming for that. So you too, Snowman, my man, have to protect your neck.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, I do. And not just for me and not just for the fans that listen to the show, also for my family. You know, it's so big. It's so big. You know this very well. It's so big, and I'm glad you referenced that song and referenced that particular song, Protect Your Neck. Let me speak to the men about this, and we talk to the men all the time. You got to protect your neck, especially when it comes to your craft, when it comes to your home, and when it comes to your family.
Absolutely. Just like Raekwon the Chef said, half of us will try to make it.
The other half will try to take it.
Absolutely. Hey, Snowman, speaking of that Super Bowl and everything, what do you think about like the commercials of the Super Bowl? And more in particular, that Brady, the Tom Brady commercial, which I thought he was trolling people. In the case of, what's he gonna do? And like for me, I'm just looking at that commercial, looking at Tom Brady. He is a guy who is going to be hunted as well, because he's going to be coveted. He's going to be romanced by other teams if he decides to leave the Patriots. So I want to get your thoughts on that. What were your thoughts on that Tom Brady commercial, him trolling the world? That's what I thought he was doing.
You know what? He trolled the world, but he also, for me, answered a question. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. You know, that's how I think of it. He's been coming out of that tunnel for 20 years. And he's at the end of his contract right now, and the whole social media universe has gone upside down, wondering where he's going to land next. And I've read some articles of where he could land. I mean, he's from California. He idolized Joe Montana for years. He's not going anywhere. He's staying right there in New England. This is Tom Brady we're talking about. Has he lost a step? Certainly. Has he lost a little zip on his arm? Certainly. But you really think he wants to move away from Bill Belichick and start a learning process all over again after what he's had for 20 seasons? I think not.
Well, I look at it kind of a little differently there, Snowman, because I'm looking at it almost like a Kobe Bryant with Shaq sense.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, he strived to, get away from out of Shaq's shadow and prove to the world that he can win without Shaq. So I'm thinking these guys are two competitors, Belichick and Brady. And I can see Brady as a competitor, seeing if he can do it on his own, so that way he won't be, left with the stigma of those two winning championships. I think he might be up to the challenge to do that. But again, it's all speculative. We don't really know. But I can see him. I can see him trying to do it, though. I can definitely see him trying to do it and go elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just have to see what happens. We will just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to see how that process plays out. Speaking of process, that's the end of this one. This is Transition Tuesday with Russ Williams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Absolutely. On Twitter, you can find me at allwilltransition. On Instagram, you can find me at allwilltransitions with an S. And please, your audience out there, please email me at allwilltransitions@gmail.com. Again, I'm available for transitional services in terms of individual instructions and sessions that I provide, and also I'm also for speaking engagements as well. So just hit me there at allworldtransitions@gmail.com. Would love to talk to you guys, and make sure everybody protects your neck out there.
That's our Transition Tuesday, going from being the hunter to being the hunted. And you'd like to be the hunted because it lets you know you're one of the best at your craft. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Speaking of Tom Brady, speaking of him, there are a few other quarterbacks that have come to the end of their contract. Is it the end of their rope? I'll explain when y'all get back.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
I did not need to be told that.
Where true sports talk lives.
Excellent.
Can't wait. Okay, folks. I know I'm not the only one angry that the sports world has shut down, and for very good reason, because this coronavirus is not one to play with. Let me welcome Cole Johnson of Cole Sports now onto the program. How are you, my friend?
Doing good. Doing good. How are you?
At a standstill, kinda. This is weird. This is weird, but at the same time, understand why the moves were made that were made. And I sent you an article with Adam Silver. Most folks are mad at Adam Silver for leading the way and taking the health of his players and his league and the fans into account. And I know you've seen a couple posts like this. Why are the fans being stupid and being mad? Because Adam Silver made a priority decision.
When you get right down to it, it all boils down to priority. And I think when you have something like this happen, and a lot of me actually is glad something like this is happening. Not saying that I want to have a pandemic roam the earth.
Right.
But the perspective that you gain from it, I'm glad it's happening, is the fact that you now have to not play sports as the main priority in life.
Right.
I mean, there's more important things than sports. Look, would I like to see an event, a sporting event be played? Sure. I would love that. No question about that. But would I want to do this and watch this event at the expense of the health of the players who go out there? No. No, I want them to be healthy. I want the fans to be healthy. No, I don't want that. So if the NBA had to make the decision to shut down because, we had one player who contracted the virus, who unfortunately passed it on to possibly two different people that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
And if Silver had to take the heat for it, fine. If I were him in his position, I would do the exact same thing, and I would smile at the criticism because there shouldn't be.
David Stern would have done the same thing. David Stern wouldn't have blinked.
Easily. I mean, Silver respects and loves the players, no question.
Right.
But Silver learned from the book of Stern as to how to cover the NBA, because that is a move that David Stern would have done. He would have snapped his fingers.
And he wouldn't have blinked. I'll say it again.
So.
David Stern would not have blinked.
No, and rightfully so. He shouldn't have blinked. This is where I applaud Silver. The moment he caught wind that the Utah Jazz's Rudy Gobert came down with the coronavirus, he was like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to make, I think it's the Chesapeake Arena, which should be in Seattle.
It should be the Seattle Center Coliseum, but I digress. Okay, we'll digress in a moment, folks. You and I share the exact same feeling. It should not be the Chesapeake Energy Arena or whatever the hell it's called. It should be the Seattle Center Coliseum. Hell, you want to make it? You really want to make it old school? How about a brand new Kingdom? How about that? It should be something awesome like that. But we'll digress later.
Yes. Yeah. So he made the right decision to say, okay, that's going to be a quarantine area. And then immediately after that, he said, all right, we'll let some of the games that are going on play. We'll let the other games that are scheduled that night to be at the discretion of the building and the city. But after these games are played, we're shutting the NBA down. I applaud him for that. That was a boss move. That was a boss move. And it was going to have to take a move like that from one of these sports governing bodies to basically shake sense into the sports world and say, wait a minute, there's a whole lot more important that's riding on this than whatever championship your sport is going after. Let's take that step back and say, okay, the health of our players is a whole lot more important, at least in the NBA, than the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And we believe the Larry O'Brien Trophy is important, but life is a whole lot more important. So we're going to put the kibosh on that. Yes, and I heard ridiculous statements such as, this is fake news, this is a media conspiracy, and yes, I even heard something even heard something, and I know you have too, as ridiculous as saying, quote, this is meant to step in the way of the Lakers winning their championship.
Oh, dear God.
Close quote.
Okay.
I know you heard that.
You know what?
I know you heard that.
I
know you heard that.
It has been thrown in my face several times via social media and via these, you ready for this term? Because I know you're going to use this one on your show. Millennial Laker fans. That this
because
is stopping.
I do respect long-term Laker fans. They get it.
Listen,
yeah, I agree with you.
The real Laker fans get it. All right?
Mm-hmm.
The real Laker fans get it. These millennial fake Laker fans, and yes, I put the word fake in my sentence, and I've got a few darn good reasons. All they want to see and beg to see is, forgive me for swearing, LeBron get his 4th championship.
Oh, that's cold. Forgive me for swearing.
Forgive me for swearing. Forgive me for swearing.
Okay.
But
let me go ahead. Because I got something ridiculous that I really do have to lay on you.
People have actually said that to me, and I've seen, Lord help me, I have actually seen people that are millennial Laker fans crying over this. You want a lob? Here it is. I'll be Drexler, you be Olajuwon. Here's your lob right here, and I'm throwing it from center court at the Summit. People, yeah, this is for you. From the timeline at the Summit all the way to the basket. And the lob is as follows. Thank you, quote, thank you, Rudy Gobert. You just cost LeBron his 4th championship. Close quote.
Okay. This segues me into the perfect ridiculousness that I have heard along with that.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
All right. So I think I saw some sort of tweet which this nonsense that said, like there's, and I'm paraphrasing, there's some bylaw in the NBA where they said the top record on April 1st, if a season is shut down for whatever reason, goes to the team with the best record. And so what picture do you see? You see a picture of a photoshopped LeBron James in his Laker jersey with the Larry O'Brien Trophy cradled like a baby, right?
Oh, God.
Here is where they messed up. Because...
Oh, no.
Because do the Lakers have the best record currently in the NBA? The answer to that question is no. That team would reside 90 miles north of Chicago, there in Milwaukee, where the reigning defending MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo, plays. And yes, when they resume the NBA, he will win the award again this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So you all are that. What did I say to you 2 years ago when the Lakers got LeBron from free agency, and then again reiterated it last summer. I said the NBA is desirous of having LeBron James be a champion, and they go overboard in just throwing so many platitudes in this direction. Oh, it's great that LeBron's in LA. He's going to restore the luster and the roar of the Lakers. Staples Center is now the epicenter of the NBA world. Well, Kawhi had a lot to do with that too, but still. Staples Center is the epicenter of the NBA world. And, oh, man, we're finally going to get playoff basketball in April, May, and we definitely think we're going to have it in June. There's a few teams in the West that have something to say about that, but I digress again.
Yep.
This is going to be a great thing, and that has been said for the last year and a half.
Yep.
And it's...
Let's go back a year.
And the fact,
let's go back a year for a moment. Let's go back
before we do that. Okay. Yeah, before that, the fact that people are putting this coronavirus stamp and saying the NBA is canceled because the NBA does not want to see LeBron get his fourth and the Lakers get their 17th trophy is absolutely ridiculous.
Let's go back a year.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes, please.
Matter of fact, let's go back to the summer of 2018. Okay. July 3rd. No, July 5th, 2018.
Okay.
In the span of 24 hours, from the 2nd to the 3rd, 2 bombs were dropped. The first one was expected. The second one was unexpected. And the unexpected bomb had more of an impact than the expected one. Y'all remember what happened, because I had this young man on my show when we analyzed said bombage. The expected bomb was LeBron James signed a 4-year deal, and I still don't think he's going to do all 4 years, but I digress, and I'll explain later this week. LeBron signs a 4-year deal with the Lakers. Yeah, we all expected that. We all expected him to leave Cleveland. But the unexpected response came from the then 2-time world champion Golden State Warriors and said, okay, Lakers, you got LeBron. Congratulations. We got Boogie. And the 4th of July crashed.
What I loved about that whole thing was you had so many from all around the NBA, the fans, and some, not necessarily the players per se, but some of the organizations even. They're saying, wait a minute, the deck is stacked. Why is it that they already have Curry, Thompson, and I really don't count Green, but they sometimes do. Green, Durant. Now they have Cousins. This guy before he was injured dropped 40 and 20 on consecutive nights before he tore his Achilles.
Yep.
This is unfair, and they got him for a veteran minimum exception? That's unfair. And you know what I had to say about that. I'm like, look, you had your chance. All the other 29 teams had their chance to sign him. You didn't.
Sure did.
The champs did. And all you have to say to that is, bravo. Bravo. You dropped the mic. That's all you could say, because you all were not man enough to step up to the plate and put a contract in front of DeMarcus's face. The Warriors did. And then on top of it, Cousins was like, hello? Yeah, Mr. Latham? Yeah, this is DeMarcus Cousins. Yeah, look, I love that team you got out there, and I want a ring bad. Is there any way possible that I can get on that team? Any way. Look, I don't care. I don't need an extravagant contract. Look, I'll sign for the veteran minimum.
Yep.
well, the veteran minimum is like $5 million. I don't care. I'll sign for that.
Yep.
Really? Okay. Well, be on the first thing smoking out to San Francisco. We'll sign that contract for you. I mean, come on, man.
And in 30 minutes' time, Steph said yes. Clay said yes. Draymond said yes. KD said yes. The management was all aboard. In fact, the management said, we don't care about his past. We know what he can do for us. And we can let him,
they know what they do.
And we can let him rest and get completely healthy. Did the Lakers do that? No.
No.
Did the Pelicans do that? No.
No.
Did the Spurs do that? No.
No.
Did the Portland Trailblazers do that? No. And I'm taking a lot of digs. Here's one for you. Did the Philadelphia 76ers take a chance on DeMarcus Cousins? No.
Oh. I guess they didn't want to trust that process.
The Warriors did. Now, yes, they did lose to the Toronto Raptors in what was a fantastic World Championship Series. The Warriors knew they ran into a buzzsaw, and Nick Nurse indeed outcoached Steve Kerr. But I expect Toronto and Golden State to hook up again in the next 2 to 3 years. I'll have more on that later. But no other team in the NBA had the nerve to accept DeMarcus Cousins' call. And the last 2 free agents that signed with Golden State, Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins, they called the team. The team didn't call them. They called the free agents called the Warriors. The Warriors didn't have to call them.
That is why I have said in the last 6 years, I'll even say the last 7, the best organization in the NBA has been the Warriors. Because when you have free agents who call the team to say, I want to be a part of this organization, that says something about the climate and the culture of that organization. It just says something. It just says something. Okay,
You know who else did something like that? You know who else did something like that? Dennis Rodman called the Bulls. Dennis Rodman called Jerry Krause. Jerry, can I play with Mike? So Phil Jackson invites everybody to his house, and I'll never forget the way Dennis Rodman told this story in his Hall of Fame speech. And Phil said, okay, we just need you to do one thing. Name it. Can you go in the kitchen and apologize to Scottie Pippen? And when Dennis told that story, you see a shot of Scottie laughing his head off.
Yeah, because it's been well documented that Scottie was like, I didn't want him on the team,
right?
Because all of those battles that we had when he was a Piston, it just soured me on the guy,
right?
But it just goes to show you the professionalism of a Scottie Pippen. It's like, all right, fine. So Rodman showed that he was willing to do that. He did that. 3 years later, 3 championships they win together. So, I mean,
and as a matter of fact, at the 96 rally,
how a good organization
at the 96 rally, Dennis publicly apologized to Scottie while on the stage. Now, here's okay. So we got that, and we'll come back to the NBA in just a moment. We got that. All the other sports leagues followed suit and took the health of the fans and the players into major consideration and acted accordingly. Yes, we don't have March Madness, but I'd rather have a March Madness with everybody healthy than 50 fans in a stadium.
And risking the players' health, too.
Risking the fans' health, the players' health, the media's health. When all the cancellations started coming down last week, and I was looking forward to this March Madness because it was in Atlanta. It was going to grace Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But I say better safe than sorry.
I'm the same. I'm the exact same. In fact, I was saying to myself, because the conference tournaments were underway.
Yep.
I was like, why are they dragging their feet?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they dragging their feet? The professional end has said, okay, we're shutting down. And look, I get it. For the exception of certain teams in the big bowl games during the new year,
mm-hmm.
the NCAA makes their most money. Let's be completely forthright here. Let's put it all on the table.
Yeah,
they make their most money this month.
Let's turn over all the cards.
March is when the NCAA makes their most money.
Yep.
Period. So I get why the hesitancy. I do. But I will go back to what I said about Silver and why I really applaud him. The NCAA, I think finally they had a few people who said, look, it is the health of everybody concerned over the tournament. And it had to take 2 blue blood programs saying, you can have the tournament, we ain't coming to it, for the NCAA to say, oh, I guess we need to shut this down. Kansas and Duke.
Yep.
And Kansas being the overall number 1 seed to boot. So, yeah, I mean, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would have began tonight with the first 4 in Dayton. But I'd rather have a full tournament happen where all of us basketball junkies can dive right in and be glued to the television, which is probably going to get a cross look and a funny look from my wife, because she knows how I am. She'll just look at me and say, "Who's playing?" And bring some food to me, and she'll look, and I'll tell you a funny story. I got to digress here. I got to tell you a funny story. We were watching the Vikings and the Saints in the wild card game.
Okay.
And deep into the fourth quarter, Vikings have the ball up 10, and actually up 3, 20-17. And
Saints were on their way to coming back. Okay.
Yep, Saints were on their way to coming back. And we both were working on other projects. We had the sound in our ears. Joe Buck was on the call at the Superdome. A split second later, my wife looks over at the television, and she goes, "Oh, no!" I look over, and I see about 5 or 6 Saints racing to the end zone. And we're just looking at each other, and we saw the replay. Actually, we're still seeing it live. They're running into the end zone, and my wife blurts out, "Insanity ensues." The play was called back because the runner was actually down by contact. The Saints did get the ball, march downfield, get the game-tying field goal.
Right.
But we would have had that. We'd have had that in a heartbeat. Okay, so, folks, take care of yourselves, okay? Make sure you wash your hands when you come out the bathroom. Use hand sanitizer. I know about the social distancing, but hey, I got a family, so most times I don't pay attention to that rule, even though they were yelling it at work this morning. I practice social distancing, and I got so many people coming up to me because, folks, wife and I go to work, then come back and crank up and do this. Practice social distancing, they kept yelling at work, and yet I got 5, 6, 7 people coming up to me at the same time going, "Are you mad they're not having a tournament this year?" And we're having a discussion right there in front of every person in charge that screams at the top of their lungs, and they actually have the nerve, and you're going to love this, to pull out a microphone system and yell, "Practice social distancing." And we're looking at them going, "What?" But to be serious, if you don't feel good, stay home. That's common sense.
Yeah.
Come out the bathroom, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. That's common sense. If you got a cough or sneeze, do it in your sleeve. Do it in the crux of your arm, in the crick of your arm. That's common sense. It's common sense. And the fourth point I want to make about this coronavirus, because it is serious, folks, and I tell NBA millennial fans to do this all the time. Do your research, please. Do your research.
Please do.
The information's out there. Okay?
Gosh, please do.
I mean, my wife's dream job is to work for the CDC. And that was the first website she consulted when this took off. That was the first thing she did.
Smart.
That was the first thing we did. We started doing our research. Folks, the information's out there. Do your research on prevention. If you can't prevent it and you do get sick, get treated immediately. The longer you drag this out, the more you have a chance for this infection, if it hits you, to get worse. Don't just look at the numbers of who died over in Italy or over here in the United States. Do your research, please. The most important weapon besides common sense that you can have against this virus is education.
Yeah. That for sure. That for sure is what we need to do more of. And it's funny, we talk about sports, and I really do believe the reason why we both have a platform is because a lot of people do a lack of what you just said in the sports realm. So extrapolate that into the life realm, and I think it actually applies there too.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. When I got sick in January and I got up and I was getting ready to go to work, my wife took one look at me and pointed at me and said, "You're not going anywhere." I said, "Huh? You're not going anywhere. You're staying put. You're staying put." And of course, my daughter made fun of me because unfortunately she got sick, but we got through it. The point is we got through it. Okay, we weren't careless. And there are some people out here, and I'm going to go all the way there. You want to turn over a card? Let's play Jim Perry's Card Sharks, okay? Let's turn over that final card and the money cards. There are some that share our color, my friend, that will not do their research.
To the point where I have heard someone actually say, "Well, we're black. We won't get the coronavirus pandemic." I actually heard that.
I knew you'd catch the cue. Like I said, let's play Card Sharks with Jim Perry. Turn that final card over. Okay?
I actually heard that, and it was the day that Donovan Mitchell came down with the virus. And when I saw this, I had to say, well, that myth is burst.
I had someone say that to me at my job. Then Donovan Mitchell comes out with the coronavirus. I just put my hands around him and looked him in the eye and said, "You were saying?" Look, let's take race, let's take color, let's take creed all out of the equation. This hurts everybody. Illness hits and hurts everybody. Do your research, folks. Do your research and trust your gut feeling. Trust your body feeling. If you don't feel good, even though, money makes the world go round, makes the bills get paid, but use a little common sense. If you don't feel good, don't go. It's not worth you infecting 100 or so people at your job. And I'll use Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's not worth the infection of 70,000 people just to put a game on, because the NCAA, as soon as they would make that $1 billion, would give it back in the form of one simple word: lawsuits.
And plenty of them.
Yep.
And I think that's what people don't get. And there's people even now, to this day, they're saying, well, come on, you can still have these games played.
And if the players get ill, then what?
Thank you. Then what? You have the players or the coaches, or God forbid, all of them,
right?
Them and the referees, and
the media,
and the crew, And the media and the crew that are the skeletal crew that it would be then that would operate the arena.
Man.
You mean to tell me that's not tragic enough? That you need to have upwards to 16, 17, 18,000, 20,000 people all get sick at the same time?
Yep.
Because, dare I say, one person may not have done like what you said a few minutes ago, actually be preventive and actually be sick and then pass this on.
Mm-hmm.
So sport, business as usual in sport is good enough for you to where you're like, okay, if they get sick, oh, well, screw it. It's not me. Get out of here.
Take the preventative measure.
I love sports as much as the next person.
Thank you.
But sometimes you have to place life above it.
You have to. Take the preventative measures, folks. And if you keep taking the preventative measures, if you listen to your body, and if you trust your body and trust your gut feeling, and if you're sick and you don't go, there's one other there's one measure that you can use that's common sense that'll help get a virus or a respiratory infection out of you. Anybody heard of something called hot water?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anybody heard of something called steam that comes from hot water? And I'm not saying this to be a smart aleck. I'm saying this because a lot of us have been sick. A lot of us have not used common sense. I am guilty thereof. I am guilty. I am guilty thereof. Okay? I am totally guilty thereof. Hell, I got my wife sick and she barked at me for a week and let me have it and kidded around with me for an entire week. Okay? I've been stupid enough to think that I was okay. And that one big cough, and I'm going to joke around with you folks. You think you're okay to go, your body's weak, your body's exhausted, and you think you can go, and that one big cough happens. And you're like, I'm not going to even try it. Folks, if you feel ill in any way, shape, form, or fashion, don't try it. Rest and get well, please. I implore you. We implore you. Do your research.
Yes, not just you.
Take your preventative measure. Take the preventative measures. Vitamin C helps too. All right.
You just spoke most of my February because that's how I was.
I get it.
In fact, I had a business trip. Yeah, I had a business trip. I had to go to this business trip, and I was sick then. Now, I wasn't, coughing up a storm or sneezing up a storm, but I knew that I was not feeling myself.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this sucks. And on my trip, and I love what I had to I love what I learned on this business trip. It was great. But in February, those are the two worst days I felt all that month.
I gotcha.
So I get back home. I'm sounding gravelly. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad because I can hear my wife tease me already. And this is on the flight coming back home. And so she does so. And so she's like, all right, you know the drill. I'm like, yeah, I do. So basically I quarantined myself in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a hot shower, went straight to bed because I got home like about midnight.
Right.
So I took a shower, went straight to bed, slept for almost 12 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And basically secluded myself the following 2 days. Did nothing until I went and dressed and got to work. I did nothing for 2 days.
I adore that. I tell you a funny story, folks, and not to make light of the coronavirus, but I got to tell this story.
No.
Last year, when we were in Terre Haute, Indiana, you ever have that time where you or your wife or both of you, all of a sudden it just hits you at once, and you sit up in bed and you're going, something is not right. You're like, something ain't right here. And you're wondering why it's not. You're wondering why it's not right. And then your body just decides to rebel.
I'm telling you, that was me.
Yep,
that was me. I mean, I was actually thinking to myself out loud this year. And I was like, okay, I'm doing good. This is around Super Bowl week.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't really come down with anything big in December. Didn't come out with anything big in January. Then Super Bowl Sunday happened. The whole day I'm fine, right? And it was almost like clockwork. As soon as the game was over, I felt something in my right ear.
Yep.
Doggone it.
Oh, been
and
there.
then for the next few days, I tried my best to stifle coughs. I tried my best
you
to
couldn't
not
do
sneeze
it.
around people, cough around people. It'll be like, I mean,
Yep.
it was just that type of stuff, right?
Yep.
And it just got to the point where 6 days later, when I was coming back on my business trip, I just couldn't hide it.
Couldn't hack it.
And I didn't. And I hacked and didn't hide it when I was in my hotel room and went on my business trip. As soon as I got in and closed doors,
yep.
Tried to cough as hard as I could.
Yep.
To get whatever it was in me out of me.
Yep.
But around people,
man.
especially my wife, I tried to stifle it so hard. It was hilarious.
It is. When my wife and I got sick last year, we both had the flu, and it was awful. It was awful because if one of us gets sick, the other is taking care of it. Well, like clockwork, okay?
And
we looked at each other, and she looked at me and she said, "Honey, I ain't going to work." I looked at the door, I looked at her, and I said, "I'm not getting out of this bed to do anything." And you have one of those kind of sleeps. You take your medicine, you take your preventative measures, you take a nice hot shower.
Yep.
You have one of those days where you fall asleep and you mark the time. So we fell back to sleep, and it was like 6:30 in the morning. The next time we woke up, it was 3:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, you got some good sleep. Oh, you got some good sleep. Yeah, man.
It's one of those where, and we had gone to the store a couple of days earlier, and we bought a bunch of popsicles. And she said, she said, "Can you brave it and go bring me some popsicles?" I said, "I'll bring both of us some popsicles." Do you know, in a span of 10 days, and these boxes of popsicles, and I'm having fun with this, folks, these boxes of popsicles had 24 in them. You know, in a span of 10 days, in fighting this flu, we killed 2 boxes of those. This is in between, because you only go in 2 places. 3. The kitchen, the bathroom, and bed. That's it. That's it. And I tell that funny story to just, again, hammer home the point. Folks, keep your preventative measures going, okay? Because we don't know how this virus is going to act with people. We don't know how it's going to we don't know how in this country how it's going to attack people, how any kind of preventative measures outside of the basics will respond to it. That's why we're hammering home the point. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Do the research. The research is out there. And now that we got that off our chest, I got it. Let's go to the NFL. Let's just knock out the hour with some fun here, so we can keep people laughing. You know, we want to keep people in good spirits while all of this while this pandemic is going on. Keep tuned to this show, and let's keep you in good spirits. And I'll put it in the form of a question for you. And I know it ain't going to keep you in a good spirit, but I have to do it. What the hell are the Houston Texans doing?
Bill O'Brien must go. I'm talking about must go like in a Christmas in July sale. I'm talking about he must go like a property that is in auction. I'm talking about he must go as in a starter's pistol in a 100-yard dash. He must go. He must get out of there. He must not even pass go. He must not collect $200. He must go. Why? Because this guy has no clue when it comes to coaching. He may have a clue when it comes to offensive coordinatorship. Might. And I'm talking about a big might. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a clue with coaching. What made Cal McNair, the now owner of the team who got past the duty of being owner after his father Bob died?
Yeah.
What made him think that Bill O'Brien was worthy enough to be a general manager? And before he made the announcement in January that O'Brien was going to be the general manager, he basically did general manager-ish type duties for almost a year.
Yep.
And in that time, I'll give him dap on getting Laramie Tunsil from the Dolphins. That was a good pickup. That was a good trade.
But everything after that.
And around that, take for example, Jadeveon Clowney. So it was word around a campfire, and you're going to hear this on repeat. So it was word around the campfire that Clowney and O'Brien didn't get along, and that O'Brien wanted to get rid of Clowney. However, the GM that was above him before what I think the spring of 2019, basically said, no, he's good for us. We want to re-sign this guy. No. Keep him on the team. As soon as O'Brien not necessarily got the GM job, but got GM duties, he looked at Jadeveon and basically said, your butt is as good as gone. I just need to find a suitor. And so he finds the Seahawks to be the suitor. And in return, he gets, I think, a fourth-round draft pick for next year.
Yep.
A fourth-round draft pick for this year, or a third-round draft pick for this year. A pass rushing project, and a throwaway linebacker. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a guy who, to me, was, even with J.J. Watt is my favorite NFL player.
Right.
He was their best defensive player, hands down, bar none. Clowney was their best defensive player. And he basically lets them go for peanuts, a project, and a throwaway. We now fast forward to today, or at least today's recording. I'll put it this way. We fast forward to Monday. And word around the campfire is that O'Brien and Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins, yes, the same guy who is an all-pro, the same guy who could blink and catch 100 passes in a year. The same guy who in 2018 dropped as many passes as you and I did in the NFL. 0. The word around the campfire is Hopkins and O'Brien couldn't get along. And so O'Brien was like, okay, you, buddy, now that I am the GM, you are as good as gone. Now I need to find a suitor. So where did he go? He goes to another NFC West team. Oh, Cardinal. That would be great. And you know what? I have an eye on David Johnson. Why not go there? Okay, well, guess what? I know you got a stud for a quarterback in Kyler Murray.
Yep.
He's young. Mm-hmm. You know, he needs to learn how to be a pro, and he seems to be doing a good job as it is. You know what? We'll take David Johnson off your hands. We'll take a fourth-round draft pick from next year, and we'll take a second-round draft pick for this year off your hands if you can get number 10 from the Texans off ours. And we'll throw in a fourth-round draft pick this year to boot. All this because of a drumline quote that I love that O'Brien seems to not grasp. And the quote is when the main character, which was played by Nick Cannon, and the drumline leader was having beef. They were having issues. So the Orlando Jones character said to them, quote, "What you two need to do with this beef is put it on the grill it up, and eat it."
Yep.
Quote. O'Brien needed to do that twice. He decided not to do it each time. Now, I get they have an eye on the future because Watson's going to Deshaun Watson, the quarterback for the Texans.
Yep.
He's going to demand a big-time contract. I get that.
Oh, yeah.
Tunsil, he's going to demand a big-time contract. I get that, too. So I understand that they can't sign all of them, but why don't you actually go to the player and say, I know you want this, but I want to work with you so we can, on the back end, get you what you deserve.
Right.
We have an eye for this. And if you're willing to help us here, we will definitely take care of you on the other end. That conversation did not take place between O'Brien and Clowney, and it should have for sure taken place between him and Hopkins. It didn't.
Hopkins
and
got
the
him.
Fact that,
Hopkins helped get him not one but two consecutive NFC South titles.
and four out of five.
4 out of 5. Yep.
This is the same wide receiver who had a 100 catch season with not one, not two, not three, but four starting quarterbacks in a season. And that is not the same year where he didn't drop any passes. I mean, this dude is at worst a top 3 wide receiver.
Yep.
And to me, he's the best. But I will concede at worst he is a top 3 wide receiver.
Yep.
He's only 27. He'll be 28 when they snap the ball again in the late summer and early fall. And you let him go for a second rounder, a fourth rounder, and an off-injured backup now running back. Yes, David Johnson was a stud 4 years ago.
Yep.
He has heart. I have no issue with David Johnson at all. However, you have a player now at running back who has the talent to go, but you have the same issue now with your current now number 1 wide receiver, Will Fuller, who, when he's on the field, he can go. The problem is Fuller is injured more often than he is playing.
Yes.
Same as of David Johnson. So why are you hurting your team by getting rid of somebody because your ego is bruised? And you've done this now twice in the calendar year.
Right.
That does not make sense to me. And I'm interested to hear what you have to say, Mr. Snow, because I'm livid at the fact that O'Brien is so brain dead. The floor is yours. Oh, God, I can't believe him.
See, I'm going to liken this to my hometown team, which is the Chicago Bears, and my favorite team of all time, which is the San Francisco 49ers. The Bears have an owner in place with the last name McCaskey. And anybody who's a Bears fan knows McCaskey is as big a cuss word to them as LeBron is to me.
Yes, I have heard many choice words being said about McCaskey.
Okay? The 49ers, that's why I said we, had a period of time very recently where we had a quarterback who regressed and tried to make it political and played himself out of the league, but people don't want to listen to a snowman, but I'll move on. We've had ownership, a general manager, and a head coaches, that, for lack of a better phrase, didn't know what the hell they were doing until now, that have made similar moves, very similar moves. Bill O'Brien thinks he can do both, be a general manager and a head coach. Hey, Bill O'Brien, didn't you lead 24-0 at Kansas City in the divisional playoffs, and you should have put that game away in the first half, and you didn't? Hey, Bill O'Brien, didn't you have to use a rally from 16 points down to beat the Buffalo Bills, who basically handed you the game in the second half by taking field goals instead of touchdowns? And that should have been a blowout. And Bill O'Brien, how many games did it take you to finally get rid of a pesky team we like to call the Indianapolis Colts 4 of the last 5 years to win a division title? Hey, Bill O'Brien, I have a question for you. If Deshaun Watson is not your best receiver, favorite receiver, number one target, or option D, all of the above, remember the Scantron test, folks. And my wife is laughing at me about that, her being an educator. Then what is he? I love Deshaun Hopkins. Love him to pieces, okay? DeAndre Hopkins. I got the name wrong. I apologize for that, Texans fans. My brain is fuzzy. I was at work this morning. DeAndre Hopkins, number 10, who could very well wear number 80, and we know who made that number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir, he could. Yes, sir, he could. And he would do number 80 proud if he did.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. He would do number 80 very, very proud. And I'm talking about the greatest of all time out of Mississippi Valley State. And you got a quarterback in Deshaun Watson who, wait for it, loves throwing to him.
Ding, ding, ding.
Hey, Bill O'Brien, instead of sending DeAndre Hopkins packing for an off-ender David Johnson, which means you're not going to have a running game for 2 years, why didn't you work on an offensive position where you sorely needed help, which was tight end? See, DeAndre Hopkins can wear number 80, and Will Fuller can wear number 82. And y'all know and if you know old school football like you know the reference. Why didn't you get a tight end? Why didn't you get the weapon that the 2 Super Bowl participants, the Kansas City Chiefs and my beloved 49ers, used to their advantage? Why didn't you get... All right, how about this? Why didn't you get an offensive line?
Yes, please. Besides Tunsil,
why didn't you get a
that
center?
Offensive line is Swiss cheese.
Why didn't you get what Moses? Why didn't you get what Jesse Sapolu, Jay Hilgenberg, and Moses Malone, a position they made famous? I believe that position is center. Because the offensive line that you have now saved Laramie Tunsil, and Tunsil got pulverized in Kansas City. All right, let's just be real.
Ooh, Ford abused him.
Laramie Tunsil, even though the Texans bolted out to a 24-0 lead in the first, 15 and a half minutes.
I'll help you with this one.
Laramie Tunsil got pulverized. Okay? Laramie Tunsil, for lack of a better term, got abused. For lack of a better term, I'll use a little old school for my friends back home in Chicago. Laramie Tunsil got played to the left several hundred times.
This is what I don't get. So, in that wonderful, beautiful masterpiece of the AFC divisional round game in Kansas City, the Texans had a 21-0 lead.
Yep.
They had a 4th and short inside the Chiefs 15.
Uh-huh.
They looked like they could have gotten the first down, and they probably should have gone for it, got the first down. They would score the touchdown. They've been up 28-0. Instead, they go for the field goal. The Chiefs march down. They score 6, and then the floodgates open. So you mean to tell me that with 11 minutes to go in the first half, you were up on an NFL team 24-0. You go into halftime with a deficit.
Uh-huh.
Let me rewind it and say it again. You have a 24-0 lead on an NFL team with 11 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Yep.
And in the ensuing 11 minutes, you go from being up 24-0 to being down 28-24.
Let me go one
step further. So you mean to tell me you can give up 28 points in 11 minutes on Sunday?
Yep.
And then you could be awarded the general manager position on Monday? Please, Cal McNair, make that make sense to me. Please.
Okay. we got to close.
Good Lord.
Jeez. Now, we have to close with a favorite segment that you do on your show every Wednesday. And folks, you got to check out On the Daily. I knew you should. I'm going to give 2 shameless plugs here. You got to check out On the Daily each weekday, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. It precedes this show. So you got the dynamic duo of sports that'll take you through this coronavirus pandemic, all right? Shameless plug. But we got to close with a segment by the dynamic duo that I love hearing on Wednesdays and borrowing for Fridays. But we're going to do one of them, because I got the feeling there are going to be a few of them. We're going to do one of them now.
All right.
Because with we kind of tipped the iceberg. We hit the tip of the iceberg earlier in this conversation. In the oft comparison between the false 23 and the real 23.
Oh, Lord, I got to run with that one. The false 23.
I've said that for 17 years, okay? I've said it for 17 years.
Oh, Lord.
Let's try again.
That was good.
That was good. Oft comparison between the false 23 and the real 23, there is more of a cape given to the false 23, even though he's left Cleveland twice. He left Miami in shambles. And now the Lakers are in shambles. And I know people are going to tell me, hey, hit the brakes. The Lakers aren't in shambles. They got Anthony Davis. That's the problem. So, folks, I'm going to hand the floor to Mr. Johnson. And I'm going to, I laid all that out to say there are people who are actually, factually, and truly upset because of one, Mr. Brian Snow, yours truly, that has said, and I quote, LeBron James is a great athlete. He just ain't a good basketball player. Close quote. And I've also said, quote, LeBron has no business wearing number 23 because he doesn't honor the number and what it all represents, unlike Michael Jordan. Close quote. Let me make it a triple play. Michael Jordan got 6 championships with one team, a Defensive Player of the Year award, 10 scoring titles, 10 All-NBA defense, and 7 consecutive triple-doubles while being injured. That year was 1989. Close quote. And yet there are people that still believe that the false 23 is the greatest of all time. And now people are upset that he will not, quote unquote, earn or win his 4th NBA title, nor win his 5th most valuable player award. So, in a system where greatness is shunned and partial greatness is honored, in an era where a player tries to give his best impression of what many consider to be the greatest of all time, it is he who is the false number 23 that gets the most honors, and he has yet to prove himself. These are the Bronzexual Confessions. Take it away.
All right, so I'll say this. So one of the things about LeBron James that I find interesting is that he seems to flap his gums a little bit soon for events such as this. Take, for example, in February when the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, said, we're going to try playing NBA games in empty arenas. Well, we're going to try that out. LeBron, I'll paraphrase, basically said, quote, "You out your doggone mind. I ain't doing it." Close quote. Now, that's not what he said, but that was the
That's a paraphrase. That's a paraphrase.
I was paraphrasing. Yes, paraphrasing. It wasn't 2 weeks later, and this is before they decided to make the empty arena game between the Warriors in San Francisco, the Warriors and the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
When LeBron basically backed up that sentiment faster than a woman in a strip club. When he said, something about that, I'm with you in lockstep, Adam. I'll play. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. Really? And people say that you're their king.
That'll give an idea how much mess he has on the shelf.
I was like, come on, dude. That is not monarch material right there. I mean, if you're gonna stand for something, stand real strong with it. Be bold. You said you weren't gonna play, stand on that. But no. You have to jump. You have to jump full the feet first in the situations and don't know the flavor. Oh yeah, like you did with the China stuff back in October. I'm sorry, I forgot. You do have a history of that. My bad. But I digress from that situation. So, roughly a week ago, you play a game against the Nets. You had a wonderful weekend before. You were stellar against the Bucks on Friday.
And the Clippers on Sunday.
And the Clippers on Sunday. Where the presumptive MVP and the defending MVP still had 32, 12, and 6 on you. But we're not going to let facts get in the way of a good story. So you beat the Bucks on Friday. You beat the Clippers on Sunday. And everybody is saying, well, why don't we give the MVP to LeBron James? Come on, he's 35. He leads the league in assists. He was at the center in the maelstrom of the China controversy. And he is the leader of the team that's gone through, and yes, I've heard this on mainstream media, quote, one of the greatest tragedies in NBA history, close quote, in reference to the great future Hall of Famer, Kobe Bryant's untimely passing in January. All of those factors should be why. Oh, and those 2 games on Friday and Sunday of last weekend should be why LeBron James should be the MVP. Oh, along with the fact he's 35. So we're going to forget 2 factors here. One of them being that the to me, the the real MVP front runner, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who finished last season with 27 points and 13 rebounds, is actually now 30 points and 14 rebounds. So we're going to bypass the fact he's having a better year this year than his MVP season last year because we want to give it to a guy who's in the twilight of his career.
Oh,
so we're going to bypass someone who's actually having a better year than this guy because we want to have a 35-year-old, 17th year in the league, win the MVP since he's doing things that other 35-year-olds haven't done. I can think of another player who was at 35, or the same number, and he won the MVP. Yes. Michael Jordan at 35 won the MVP.
1998.
His fifth in his career.
1998 for those of you who do your research.
So you cannot tell me that LeBron James is doing things that every other 35-year-old has not done. I just gave you one who did. Because LeBron is not scoring 30 points a game.
Nope.
Being 35. The other number 23, the real number 23. Thank you, Rick Flair, for that one. The real number 23.
The real number 23. Oh, by the way, folks, the real number 23 not only picked up his fifth MVP award in 1998, not only still scored 30-plus a game, not only reached and won the World Championship Series with his sixth Finals MVP. He also was an all-defensive NBA first team.
Yeah. and I always say with Jordan, the shot was impressive. The strip steal was, to me, more impressive. The fact that he basically got the steal, got the ball, went down, and shot the championship winning shot.
Yep, the championship winning shot.
I always thought the steal was just as impressive as the shot. But I'm not talking about the real 23. I'm talking about the other 23. So we're going to dismiss Giannis and basically say, well, LeBron beat Giannis. Well, don't you forget that in December that Giannis put LeBron on his keister in Milwaukee? We forgot about that game.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot that the Bucks put the Lakers in their place in Milwaukee and in the Fiserv Arena. We forgot all that. We're just dealing with March. And then we come to Sunday when he bested Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. I'm happy that the Lakers beat the Clippers, and I'm happy that the LeBron James-led Lakers beat the Kawhi-led Clippers for the first time in 3 tries. Because we must have forgotten that the Clippers handed the Lakers their butts twice already.
And for the first time in 3 games, they held the Clippers to under 110 points.
Under 10 points, yeah. So we must have forgotten all that, right? That's number one. Number two, LeBron James, and I know I'm going to get. In fact, I will preface this by saying, email me at info@coldsportswithaz.com for the take I'm about to bring you.
Bring it.
LeBron James is not the MVP of the league. He isn't even the MVP of his own team. Does he lead the team in scoring?
No.
Does he lead the team in rebounding? No. Does he lead the team in steals? No. Does he lead the team in block shots? No.
Nope.
And all of those stats I just named, one guy leads all the Anthony
Davis.
I'm not saying that Anthony Davis is the MVP of the league. I'm saying he is the most valuable player on the Lakers. And you Bronxexuals have the nerve, the temerity, the unmitigated gall, I should say, the utter stupidity to argue with me up and down and say, well, Davis wouldn't have all those stats if LeBron wasn't on the team, because when LeBron's off the court, Davis sucks. But when LeBron's on the court, Davis is something. Missed me 100% with that garbage. The only stat the great number 23 with you Brownsexuals leads the Lakers in, and he leads the league in, is assists. That's the only stat he leads the team in. I might have to check it because he might lead the team turnovers too, but I'm digressing. Those two factors right there do not make him MVP for this year. And I do not have the tear to shed. I do not have the sympathy to give. And if I were covering the NBA and I had a vote to vote for the most valuable player in the 2020 season, it would not be cast for first place being LeBron James. He didn't earn it. It's just that simple. It has nothing to do with I hate the guy. I don't really give a crap about the guy. I don't care if he existed. I don't hate him. I don't like him. I respect him. But that's as far as it goes. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying this because I want to hate on him and I hope things crumble down on him. No. I'm saying it because my 4 eyes, yes, I said 4, because I have 2 the guy gave me and 2 an optometrist gave me.
Yep. Same here.
I look at these games. I study these games. If I can't catch a full game, I watch highlights of them.
Yep.
Unbiased highlights of them.
Unbiased.
And I see it. So let's get back to this Nets-Lakers game. So LeBron had a chance to be the hero. He had a chance to submit the fact that he could be an MVP frontrunner. Mm-hmm. And so with about 10 seconds to go, he drives down the lane. He looked strong. He got past 2 defenders. He went with the left hand. He laid it up, and the ball bounced off the rim. A gimme layup. This guy is 6'8", 260. Now, I thought he was the most athletic guy that's ever played in the NBA. Now, to me, he is. Now, at 35, we're starting to see some of those injuries catch up to him. Because normally that would be a dunk. But this was a layup. It dribbles off the rim, ball goes out of bounds. Off the net. Lakers ball. So LeBron gets a chance to redo it. So he dribbles, he goes down the lane again, but instead of taking a 12-foot jump shot or going further into the hole, he kicks it out to Anthony Davis for a 3. I thought LeBron James had a wonderful IQ. I thought he had a brilliant mind. Now, I'm not saying that Davis is a bad shooter. He's actually pretty decent from the three-point line. However, you're supposed to be the guy. You're supposed to be, in your own words, Mr. James, that you said in 2015, quote, I'm the best in the world. Close quote. So the best in the world couldn't hit a 12-foot jumper. The best in the world couldn't hit a 12-foot jumper. The best in the world thought, it'd probably be better if I kick this out to me, the MVP of the Lakers, for a 3. Now, I get it if you were to have done this and you kick it out to a shooter like a Danny Green. I would get that to a degree.
Yep.
But
yes, sir.
The best in the world decided to shrivel up in the moment that supposedly is to make him king. He misses a gimme layup, and then instead of taking another shot to risk looking worse, he dishes the ball out.
And I have...
So we go from a high percentage shot to a lower percentage shot. How much sense does that make? So I will say this again, like I did when I disproved why the 4 games just proved that LeBron James will never be the MVP, never be the GOAT of the league, ever.
Ever.
And that would be games 3, 4, 5, and 6 in 2011 NBA Finals / World Championship Series. I will say these words again. Brownsexuals, Is this your king? Because if he is, that crown looks absolutely tarnished. Clean it up.
And Bronxexuals, for that layup that he missed, a gimme. Well, Michael Jordan would not have missed it. Scottie Pippen would not have missed it. James Worthy would not have missed it. Let's see. Alex English would not have missed it. This one's for you, Mr. Johnson. Tom Chambers wouldn't have missed it.
Sure wouldn't.
This is for you also. Akeem Olajuwon wouldn't have missed it.
He definitely wouldn't have.
Robert Ory, Robert Reed. Okay. How about this? How about a few more? I said Robert Ory. How about a few more Rockets? Ralph Sampson wouldn't have missed it.
Yeah,
Sam Cassell wouldn't have missed it, and he's a guard. And yet Sam Cassell had more nuts than LeBron James to take on bigger people.
He did.
Oh, here's another 33 that wore Houston colors. Otis Thorpe. Remember him? How about that? How about a couple of more? How about a couple of more forwards that would not have missed that? Sean Kemp, Xavier McDaniel. How about that? Charles Oakley. How about him? Huh? Y'all remember him? How about Dominique Wilkins? How about Dirk Nowitzki?
No doubt he definitely would not. That 50-foot fadeaway, that would have gone in.
With his eyes closed.
If he did drive one.
With his eyes closed.
With his eyes closed. Yep.
How about Dikembe Mutombo? How about that? The guy who couldn't develop a hook shot to save his life and yet was one of the best defensive setters of all time, which is why he's in the Hall of Fame. He wouldn't have missed that.
So, yeah.
Alonzo Mourning. I dare not forget him. How about Buck Williams? How about Buck Williams?
Yeah, he wouldn't. Yeah. And I'll throw in the name that many of you Bronxexuals say he's better than, but I keep proving to you that he's not. Mr. Larry Bird would not miss that.
Oh, my God, Larry Bird. Larry Bird.
In fact, he played a whole game left-handed
against the Portland Trailblazers.
That's how cold that man was. He would not have missed that gimme layup. He would not have missed that.
Nope. I mentioned James Worthy.
Yes, he definitely. The Statue of Liberty dunk. He surely would not have missed that.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Not a chance. Not a chance. Oh, and by the way, for you old schoolers like Cole and I, that 47 points against Portland where he hit everything left-handed, that came in the old Memorial Coliseum in Portland, Oregon.
Ah, yes.
That came in a small arena, but one of my favorites of all time. That came in the Memorial Coliseum in Portland, Oregon. You remember that?
Officially turned as the Rose Garden. Yeah, I remember that.
How about Jerome Kersey? He wouldn't have missed. How about Cedric Cornbread Maxwell, Kevin McHale? Since we're talking about forwards, since we're talking about people saying LeBron's the greatest forward ever, how about Kevin Durant? He'd have made that with his eyes closed, running back the other way. How about that?
Look, he definitely is not the greatest forward ever. He to me still is not the greatest small forward ever, and it's about to be challenged. And yes, I'm about to say this now. It's about to be challenged that he's not the greatest small forward in this era now.
Yeah,
it's about to be challenged.
I agree with that.
Because when Kevin Durant steps on the court, if the Nets were to win the World Championship the following year, I'll be like, LeBron James, greatest small forward in this era? No, it's going to be KD.
Oh, that already got proven. That already got proven twice over. That already got proven twice. And for you Larry Bird fans, of which I am one, A little bit of Johnny Most for you from 1985.
Put the ball on a play. He's not being guarded. It goes to Bird. Bird up fakes. Bird takes the shot. It's gone! It's gone! Oh, my goodness! I can't believe it! It is gone from the corner! Oh, my! What a magnificent finish to this ball game! Bird! Bird from the corner!
Yeah, y'all remember that. 1985 in the Boston Garden. The Boston Garden.
What a legendary voice and a legendary building.
Johnny Most with that game winner. So don't tell me ever again that LeBron James is the greatest small forward to ever play the game.
Nope.
Because
you can at me.
you can miss me with that.
You can miss me with that, and you can at me with whoever you with your opposite opinion.
Bring it on. Bring it on, man. Bring it on. Bring it on, okay? Because we've proven
great small forward, not him.
Nope. Not a chance. Not a chance. Oh, if you want to see a small forward battle, how about James Worthy and Larry Bird?
What I'd give to watch the 87 World Championship Series just between those two.
Yep.
Again. Talk about a chess match. Gosh.
And folks, let me close this version of the Bronze Sexual Confessions with this. I know that the False 23 has hit some game winners, but I'm about to play something here that takes me back to my glory days when I was in high school. The year was 1989. Okay? It was the day before his birthday. They were playing the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh, here's a name for you, Paul Pressey. How about that?
That's a name I haven't heard in years.
The Bucks led the entire game, except for the Bulls having the lead early in the first half. Okay? You want to talk about somebody that has the nerve, that has the unmitigated gall to rescue his team and put them to a victory? Here's an old place for you. Let's go to Chicago Stadium. Situation, 9 seconds left. Milwaukee 116, Chicago 115. Jim Durham, Johnny Kerr on the call. Paul Pressey, all he had to do was get the ball in bounds, force the Bulls to foul because the Bulls had no timeouts. And then this happened.
Pressey looks to bring it in. He comes in and throws it away. The Bulls have it. Here comes Michael Jordan on the drive. 5 seconds. Jordan on the drive, right of the lane. 18-footer. Yeah! 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 Yeah!
When basketball was truly basketball. When you had buzzer beaters like that. And I think that's how we're going to close up shop. I'm going to have this clip, courtesy of Sports Channel and the Bulls, take us out of here. Thank you, Cole Johnson. As always, much appreciated.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it on this end as well.
I love you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Love you too, man.
Jim Durham, Johnny Kerr, take us out.
Takes it, looks for three. It's not there. Goes in the free throw line. Up over Jeff Sitwell. What does he find? Nothing but net. But points 49 and 50 for Jordan to give the Bulls a lead. 117 to 116. Michael loves it. This is their first lead in the second half. Remember, they were down 12 earlier in this fourth quarter. Michael Jordan has scored 27 of his 50. the ball goes out of bounds, they may be able to stop this situation.
Right, because then it's their set defense.
Now, I don't know how much tick is on the clock, but you know one thing, they're going to be watching for that timer to go after it. That ball's got to come in and be almost turned around. Michael is just so keyed, he could jump right out of this building.